Hi everybody, how you doing? I hope you're having a good Sunday so far. Today we're doing kind of just a stream of whatever. People sent me some stuff. We can look at that. If you have anything in the chat that you'd like to have us look at, let me know, and we shall. Other than that, how are you all doing? Welcome Shamrockstar, Krista Willow, Thez72744473, Excessive Observer, Chapomon, Oregon, Captain Rachel, Vulcan Princess 97, Lapupon, Hylian Derp, Gen Z Doomer, Andrew Dickerson, Hungry Killer 666, Gimpig, everyone else, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Musk, just Musk. Has Elon done anything lately? I don't know. I know he said that, like, we don't need another stimulus package, and it's like, Elon, you're a billionaire. I don't care what you think. Is he ever not doing anything? Fair point, I guess. Ooh, it's very quiet without that music. Let me turn it back on. I don't like having to carry all the noise just with my voice. Ew. It does feel good in here. Good news, the kitty let me pet her for the first time, so that is good. What? Oh, that's good. Oh yeah, he did say we'll coup whoever we want on Twitter. Basically, someone was like, hey, the United States made a coup happen in Bolivia for their lithium because you needed it for your batteries, and Elon's like, we'll coup whoever we want. Like, that's a fucked up thing to say, Elon, you piece of shit. So ridiculous. Andrew Dickerson said, I don't expect you to watch the whole video, but check out what Butch Hartman's wife, and I'm assuming what he, as well, believes. Oh no.
There's nothing funny
This is Butch Hartman's wife, apparently. Shamrockstar with 200 bits says, Kitty love. Yes, very nice. Yeah, for those who don't know, Butch Hartman is, the creator of quite a few shows that you probably recognize from your childhood. Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, Tough Puppy. There's probably others, but those are the ones that I know. And he is a Christian, I know that much. He did like a Kickstarter thing to start his own network, like a streaming service, and then people got mad because it may have been like somewhat Christian, and he didn't reveal that up front. I don't remember. It's a whole thing. I don't even know if that streaming service ended up getting made. So.
Hello, chat.
So yeah, I guess let's find out which Butch Hartman and his wife believe.
Hey guys, it's me, Julianne Hartman, and I'm so excited to present to you
Oh god, apparently they can't get a decent microphone. Yuck.
a full-length version of Deborah McDermott's healing journey. This is about her two sons that were both diagnosed with autism. They are now completely healed and living amazing
Hey,
lives.
chick.
Check
Yes,
this
I am
out.
very moist. My hair is yet to dry.
We were and had been for a very long time in a place of crisis as a family.
I want to know who the director of this was, or whoever was editing it, and they're like, we need to make this look dramatic. Let me pull out the blur filter and also sepia tone so it looks like this is happening in the Old West. It's like an episode of Bonanza.
We were and had been for a very long time in a place of crisis as a family.
And I
Oh
was
no,
very, very
do they
tired.
believe
I
that
come to the
Jesus
point
can cure the tism? That's not good.
where I thought I would go mad or drop.
No one understands you from the outside. No one had any idea about the kind of life that we were living.
That I cracked.
This better not end up being MMS. I'm gonna be so mad if Butch Hartman is into, like, gross feeding your autistic kid
Pretty much
bleach.
since Tim had been born, had lived not a normal life. He didn't sleep properly for about 5-6 years.
He was an inconsolable baby. He would scream and scream.
It has 110 down votes to 16 up votes, so it must be bad.
He was in pain, but the doctors couldn't find anything wrong with him.
When he did go to sleep, we were absolutely terrified he was going to wake up. We couldn't leave him, we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't be apart from him. So for many, many years, that's the way that we lived. It was very, very tough on us, our relationship, because we didn't have any time for ourselves. For a long time there was not a lot of intimacy, there was not a lot of emotional connection because of the crisis that we were in as a family.
Okay, I'm sure raising an autistic child can be tough and have a whole series of obstacles that don't come along with a kid that's more neurotypical, but that doesn't change the fact that you're their parent and there is no cure for autism, so you need to deal with that and not make up some bullshit cure. Oh
When he
no.
was about 8 or 9, and he hadn't been to school because we realized that he would have been diagnosed with hyperactivity or a lack of ability to concentrate, because we could.
Okay, but not taking him to school isn't going to stop him from having those things. If he has that, he has that, and he should be diagnosed and properly medicated if it's found that that would help the child function.
See, he couldn't even sit down to eat a meal. He would run around the table, take a mouthful, run around the table.
Okay, he probably has a hyperactivity disorder. He probably has ADD or something.
When I taught him his numbers, we would do it in the garden. I'd ask him a sum as he ran up the garden, and he'd answer coming down the garden, and this is how I taught him. He never sat on my lap or lay in bed while I had a bedtime story. He would walk round the carpet, touching his favourite bits, going round and round and round. And as long as I would keep reading, he'd just keep walking round and round, touching his favourite bits. Everything was timed, so he knew where he was in the day, what was going to happen next, and the routine had to be very structured. His sleeping had always been a huge issue. He'd wake up after he'd been asleep for an hour or two, and he would jump up screaming in terror and run around the house, but he didn't recognize me. If I went towards him to comfort him, he would see me as a monster or something, and he would be terrified, so it was counterproductive. I just have to stand back and wait for him to calm down. It was just another one of the things that we just dealt with and didn't think much about.
At least they aren't
But it was
blaming
quite an
vaccines so far. That's good.
When we had James, many people have said to us, "You'll surely not get another child who sleeps as badly as Timmy did."
I noticed one or two strange things when he got to be 18 months, and then he started spinning round and round, moving his head round, and when I changed his nappy, he'd flap, 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 flap. And then instead of pushing the cars, we had Action Man cars, big ones, he'd turn them upside down and spin the wheels for ages. So there were a few little odd things, but not enough to really, I would just facilitate his peculiarities and thought it was okay. But when he stopped talking and he stopped communicating, and then he stopped liking people look at him.
Okay, he probably has autism. This is when you take your child to a proper medical person so that they can check them out, and if they do have autism, they can provide you with materials in order to teach you how to make sure that your kid can grow up with the aid that they may need, and to make sure that you raise them in such a way that's most conducive to the way that their brain works. You don't just ignore this and be like, oh, woe is me, it's a problem. Like, okay, then go get a solution to the problem so you can make sure that your child has the best possible outcomes.
And he became distressed with light, and then he stopped eating foods. And if there was even the smallest lump in his morning porridge, he'd gag and vomit it up. Then we had a...
Okay, and at this point, did you take him to a doctor? Because if you didn't, then you should have CPS called on you, because your child is suffering so badly that they're unable to eat, and you're refusing to do anything about it in terms of educating yourself on how to deal with a child with this sort of issue.
speech and language therapist come in to assess Timothy. And there were two of them, and they were chatting to Tim, trying to put him at ease and stuff, and then chatting to me to report back what they'd found. And they were watching James, who was playing with his trains. He loved trains, it was his favourite toy. Anyway, what they said to me was, "Oh, isn't it funny how autistic kids love trains?" And I said, "Autistic kids?" So she says, "Well, it's obvious, isn't it?"
That's almost a Curb Your Enthusiasm moment where you're like revealing to some parent that their kid is autistic, but you don't realize that they don't realize.
You did know, didn't you? I said, "No, he's not autistic." So she says, I think you should perhaps have him assessed. He shows a number of autistic characteristics." And that's the first I had even thought of it. I was absolutely gutted.
In the days following this 2005 assessment, Timothy was tested and diagnosed with a form of autism called Asperger's syndrome, while his younger brother James exhibited all the symptoms of autistic spectrum disorder.
And we suddenly realised that, gosh, we were going to have two children that had got it, and what were the chances of that?
It is incurable. It is.
I did know
I also
that I was
think
really
classifying
I
it,
wasn't living a normal life
saying
myself.
it
I'd
like
lost
that treats
touch
it
of
like
who
a
I was. I
disease,
just
which is
functioned
not like a
24 hours
great way to
day
go
as
about
caring
it.
for these boys.
So I was ploughing a lot
Like,
of
I
my
understand it
energies
can
into my
create a
job
great
because
deal
I
of
needed to make
difficulty
sure
for
that that
people
was
with it,
successful to be able
but
to support the family.
people with
That
autism
meant
can
travelling
also
a
be
lot.
incredibly
And I thought
good
if anyone
at certain
found out my
things that
state of mental health,
neurotypical
they'd take
people
the
are
children
not,
away.
so...
I was absolutely terrified of them taking the children away. But I was also terrified that I couldn't go on. And that's when I cried out to the Lord. I said, "If you don't help me now, I'm finished."
The incredible pressure and the incredible trauma that you undergo as a family. You have to watch your children, the things you love most in the world, battling not just with the curse that they've got, but also being rational enough to know that they've got it. And it was those periods in which Debs found it the most hard, in which she had the darkest days. And it was during one of those dark, dark days that she watched the Mother's Day programme.
They were all mums talking about their kids, and they were showing snapshots and pictures and talking about which ones are doing what at school, and they were chatting. And it just hit me like a sledgehammer that what I'm experiencing and what they're experiencing are just so different. And I was weeping, and then I said, "You know, why don't you help us?" I had been asking God help me for years. And I said, "I love my boys so much, and you're supposed to love them more than me. Why have you done this to them?" And I said, "I would die for my boys." And that's when he said, "I already did." I was so stunned. I just shut up. I stopped crying. I just looked into the fireplace and I just stared there. I thought, that really wasn't my thought. That was Jesus talking to me.
Okay, go to a doctor. Go to a psychologist if you're legitimately hearing voices. This shit irks me to no end. No, you did not hear the voice of Jesus. My goodness. And if you're religious, that's one thing. I'm not here to talk about that today. That's a whole other topic. Like, whatever. If you're religious, that's your business. But you are not hearing the voice of God. You are not hearing the voice of God. It's you. It's your thoughts. You're projecting thoughts into your own brain and then identifying them as coming from somewhere else when that is not the case. Please, if you are legitimately hearing voices that you do not identify as your own inner voice and you're hearing them regularly, seek help. This is not normal. This is not even normal religious stuff. This is like schizophrenia. You do not hear voices in your head that are not your own.
And that's when I knew that they were all right. And I thought, well, he'll heal them. I just sat there and stared at the fireplace. The tears went, the pain went, the anxiety went, the fears went, everything that had worried.
What are we watching? We're watching a video promoted by Butch Hartman's wife about, like, God curing someone's autism or something. It's the most ridiculous shit.
Me over the past number of years, it was like a huge load was just cut away, and I was free, and I felt light, and I just sat and stared into that fireplace, and from that moment on, that despair, that terror, the anxiety that I'd lived with was gone.
When Timothy went to the school that was funded by the state, it was a really huge thing for us, but we felt that he was actually quite capable of doing it.
And as he progressed and as they increased the number of hours he went, he was up for it. And I believe that the healing just took place gradually as and when his world opened up and became wide and he needed to cope with more and more things.
The school helped him, dummy. The school that was specifically that he was put in order to help him with his Asperger's, and I'm sure they helped him learn coping mechanisms and ways to deal with his, like, sensory differences and the way that he, like, interacts with people. That's what made the change. It wasn't magic. My God.
It's almost as if he was covered in scales. He was covered in the scales of autism, and over time those scales have been peeled away.
Fuck you! How dare you describe autism like that? That's sick. They're your fucking kids. Fuck you.
And
I know that's not substantive commentary, but, like, fuck these people, right? This is gross.
say, Lord, please send me someone to help me. I know you're healing my boys, but I don't know what to do.
Okay, they're not being healed by Jesus. They're going to a school where they're being taught ways to deal with their differences, ways to deal with how their brain functions differently than a lot of other people in society. They're being taught these things. Are you not engaging with what your children are being taught at all? Like, do they just go to school and they come home and you're never like, oh, what did you learn at school today? Timmy, or whatever the heck the kid's name was? Like, ugh.
And that was where we were at when my mum phoned and said, watch Andrew Womack. He's got some healing testimonies and you've got to watch it.
And we all watched it together, and it was just extraordinary. And even that, you sit and watch it and you think, well, is it really true?
We had missed the beginning of Hannah's story, but we came in, and from where we saw was enough to see what had taken place with Hannah's story. And the bit that struck me and was when he said, piece of cake for Jesus.
Piece of cake for Jesus.
This is a piece of cake for Jesus.
And this smile crept across his face. And
Never in the history of Christianity have there been documented cases of people actually being cured religiously. I'm not telling you you can't believe in your religion. It's fine. But you need to deal with reality on top of that, right? No one has faith healed anyone ever. You can watch TV specials on how faith healing is done. Darren Brown has a whole, like, hour-and-a-half long special on it. There are multiple people who have covered these topics. Faith healing is a grift. It is fake. You are being scammed. These are not people that represent what your religion should be. These are charlatans using your faith as a way to con you. Do not believe these people.
I was like, that's awesome. This guy really believes this, doesn't he? You know, and that faith on the inside of us rose up.
So Father, Jamie and I just agree. And we thank you that by the stripes of Jesus, Hannah has already been...
Fuck this guy. Who's this guy? This guy's fucking trash. What the hell is this guy's name? Thank you to, look at this dog and cat for following. Welcome to the stream. Oh, God. What is this shit bag? Oh, good. At least all the comments are negative. They act so shocked that their autistic children show less problematic symptoms as they grow up, but that's exactly it. It's called growing up for a reason. Even if they don't mature exactly like everyone else, they're still capable of learning, just like many children with ASD. You can argue that God guided them on a path of wisdom and all that. In fact, me and my family have a similar story, so I won't judge there. But to call the experience, quote, carrying autism is incredibly insensitive to those who continue to struggle with their own ASD into adulthood. Autism is a mental handicap, not a disease, and yes, I know what the doctor said, but there's still room for error. The important part of the diagnosis isn't that their autism is, quote, gone, because it could always pop up again in some form or another, but that it's developed to a point where extensive treatment for their autism is no longer necessary, and that's a fair miracle in and of itself, Laserleaf Storm says. These fucking people. Trash.
Healed.
It just, my faith just rose up. And
any idea when I'm going to start Behind the Mask? Oh, Behind the Mask is where I'm going to be going into, like, the private, like, Facebook groups and forums of people like John Doyle and Liberty Hangout to see if I can find any really sick racist shit. Basically, when I get paid from Twitch next month, is when I'm going to start.
Side of me. And I thought, yes, he's talking about my God, my one. And that's when Christopher
Careless Whiskers, thanks for following. Cool name.
Check out the website.
We researched Hannah and her story, and we found out about Hannah's grandparents and Hannah.
This guy is Andrew Womack Ministries. Andrew Womack. I'll just have to Google it. Andrew Womack. Andrew Womack. Andrew Womack Ministries. Watch the Gospel Truth TV broadcasts here. Oh, God. Oh, they have a Bible college. Lovely. Let me see if I can just find them on YouTube. We can take a look at him after we finish this video.
Mum and Dad going to live in, I think, in America, and the grandparents going to the college in Warsaw. It didn't just have an impact on Hannah, it had an impact on this incredible family, and they'd all experienced it, and they'd all gone through this process. And again, you're then thinking to yourself, wow, you know, maybe this is all true, maybe this is really happening. And from that point on, started to watch Andrew Womack every day, but we bought all his books, or as many books as we could get, started to record his programs on the internet, and we started to build up a kind of trust, I suppose, in what he was saying and in what he was saying.
You're describing being brought into a con. You've been conned? You're describing buying into like a con artist grift.
We could have.
And he shouted from the study, he's going to be in Warsaw in 2 weeks. So I thought, well, we'll just have to pray about it. So I phoned Andrew Womack Ministries and I spoke to a woman there and I told her the situation. I said, look, we want to come. We want Andrew to pay for our sons, but we just need some help to get there. And I remember she said to me, what can you believe for? I think we can get there, but I'm not sure that I can exercise my faith enough to see us getting into the building. So she said, that's fine, we'll get you there, and if we can't get them out the car, we'll send a prayer team to the car. I thought, yes.
Gross.
She prayed in a way that I had never heard before. And it was great, it was authoritative, it was thanking God that it was done, it was commanding, and I thought, now we're talking. I have not heard this kind of praying. And I was so thrilled, I put down the phone and I said, she said that this is going to happen and this is going to happen and we're going to sleep and he's going to eat. And Christopher was like, yeah, she's never met my son. And for the next 2 weeks, I made a calendar counting down. This is when we're going to go and stay in a hotel. And he would cry every time I said it's another day. And when I said, no, we're going, he'd get in a spinning chair and he'd spin and spin and spin. And he'd refuse to come out for hours sometimes. But the day came and he wept and he wept and he physically was trying not to get into the car. It was hard work. But I just sat down and I prayed about it. And I said, Lord, they said that he'd be able to get in the car and that he'd be fine and that you'd calm him and comfort him and all would be well. And so we're coming. And it was amazing because he just smiled up and said, okay, I'm ready, let's go. And we strapped him in and he sat there. Christopher and I just kept looking at each other and sort of holding our breath. It was amazing. We booked into the hotel and he was bouncing on the bed. He was really excited, like this is an adventure. And once again, Timothy was like, he couldn't believe it. And we said, okay, we're going to go and eat at the Kentucky Fried.
Okay, so to be clear, prior to going, you describe events like him spinning in a chair over and over and over as negative, like he doesn't want to go, and that's a negative thing, showing that his autism is bad. But then when you get to the hotel to go to the event, he's bouncing on the bed, another sort of hyperactive activity akin to spinning in a chair, but because you already are looking for a bias, you have a bias in your head to say, this is a good thing, this is going to solve things, you view that hyperactive activity as a positive. Do you see the issue at play here? You've already framed things in such a way as to always assume that whatever's happening prior is bad, but what's happening now is good. It's a very selective bias. Verkanon, thank you for continuing your subscription.
Chicken that the Pterodactyls ate at. So we were off to the Kentucky Fried Chicken. And that's when Timothy ordered himself some popcorn chicken. We didn't know what to order, James, so we thought, well, we won't bother with anything, because if we offer him food and he doesn't like it, he starts heaving. Sat down and he looked at the food. There was no heaving, there was no watery eyes and that he would normally have with cooking smells. He sat there, he looked at the popcorn chicken.
Okay, you're at a KFC. It's a completely different scenario from sitting at home, right?
I said, what's that? And he said, it's something called popcorn chicken. He said, oh, chicken. And he had one. He said, Timmy, mine. And he ate. And when he was finished it, he said, more. He ate a second lot.
This is before you even go and see the faith healer. All you're doing is showing that your kid is capable, despite the fact that they happen to be autistic, that they're capable of enjoying certain foods. Kids like fast food, autistic or not. I don't understand what you're trying to illustrate here, and it flies in the face of the point you're about to try and make. Because he hasn't seen the faith healer yet. You idiot.
He ate more than I'd ever seen him eat in one sitting, ever. He ate the chips, he ate the chicken. And Christopher and I were just laughing and said, it's a miracle, and we haven't even got there yet. And it was an answer to prayer. It was what she had prayed was happening. And so then we got to the meeting, and he was absolutely fine to come out the car. We sat in the coffee shop. It was tea time, and there was this long queue of people. They wanted Andrew to sign books or pray for them and what have you. I called Christopher, and he got James, and all four of us stood in that queue. And I was moving slowly along, and there were about 5 people in front of us when Andrew said, right, it's time to get back. Tea break's over. Will everyone please go and sit down? I was like, no. And I started crying. It was like the taps just opened. I thought, no, I'm not going home now. I'm not. I can't go home now. I said, oh Lord, help me. I'm not going home without this man praying for my sons. And then that was when Paul Flanagan saw us.
I can't even imagine the weird cognitive dissonance it would have to be to believe in a God that won't help your son when you pray for him, but this random asshole who makes money doing it, he has the power to pray for your son and for God to heal him. What would that have to say about the God you believe in? Ugh.
And he grabbed us and he shoved us in front of Andrew and said, Andrew, just one more. And he said, right, okay, one more. And we told him the situation, and he said a prayer, something along the lines. It was literally as quick as this. He rebuked autism and he commanded healing. And then he blessed us as a family, and he thanked the Lord that we were blessed and that we would, something along the lines of fulfill the God's plan for our lives. And then he said to Christopher and I, and this was so huge, he said to Christopher and I, you are now the parents of normal, healthy children.
Fuck you! I really hope these kids grow up and don't get a complex out of this because of their shitbag parents. Legitimately. I hope that they're able to, grow up and mature and deal with them the best that they can, and understand that the bullshit their parents are peddling about how they are is not the case.
And everything happened so quickly. I remember hearing that, like, the whole world went quiet and it was just these words. It was, to me, and I still believe it was Jesus talking to me. And so that was a promise. That was a promise. That was for me. And I knew that he was right. And I was so moved. And we just slipped out the side door, got in the car, and we went to McDonald's, where James ate the chicken nuggets and the chips. I think he'd never eaten he'd never eaten. And we went home. He went across the road to the little...
Okay, is it possible... And again, this is obvious, but I can't believe this woman doesn't see this. Okay, first of all, kids like fast food. Fast food is like a fun thing for kids. It's advertised to them all the time. I think they're more comfortable with it. Also, chicken is a pretty safe food usually for kids, especially if it's like, you know, chicken tenders, chicken nuggets, something like that. Also, you aren't sitting down necessarily at some time at home and making a whole big thing out of the fact that you made dinner, which could stress your kid out, which could make them feel that there's pressure on them to be eating, whatever. I'm assuming you also didn't order your kid food off the bat like you did at KFC, which is also weird. So your kid felt comfortable enough that they're like, okay, I'm hungry, I'll eat some food. This food looks good. And they did so. Obviously, your kid has eaten food before. They're alive. So this isn't some bizarro thing where your kid never eats food. Just because they have problems sometimes doesn't mean that they're incapable of enjoying a meal. MW1642, thank you for gifting a sub. I appreciate that.
Girl who he had known but hadn't played with for over a year invited her round, and they played in the sandpit, on the trampoline, in the garden. He played for the rest of the afternoon, and that was the time that night that he had the first complete, full, peaceful, unbroken night's sleep.
Your kid's probably tired because you went... He's probably exhausted because it was a very, how do I put this, probably stressful day for him. He had to get out of his comfort zone. He wasn't at home or in his normal schedule. He was out traveling and eating different kinds of food and meeting different kinds of people. He was in a faith-healing environment that's full of a lot of, like, sights and sounds and people that are unfamiliar. He's probably exhausted, so he couldn't, like, not sleep when he got home. There are completely rational explanations for everything you're saying without jumping to the ridiculous conclusion that God used a faith healer to cure your kid's autism, which is a really fucked up thing to say in the first place.
Since the day he was born. And he was 5 years old at that point.
But when 3 months later, he's still sleeping well. When 6 months later, when a year later, 2 years later, he's still sleeping well, and he's starting to become the child that you thought, that you knew was there, but you couldn't reach because of autism.
Okay, autistic kids can develop and learn to cope with some of the sensory issues that they have, learn to come out of their shells, and be perfectly functional members of society like everyone else. The way that they're, like, demonizing autism is so fucked here. Like, do you know any autistic people? They aren't monsters. They aren't completely incapable of existing in the real world. Like, yeah, it can be rough developmentally, but, like, they grow up like everyone else. You psychos.
You believe in it and believe in the process. And those experiences have allowed us to start to live a more normal life. So for me, it was very important for us to take the boys back to the psychologists, the people who diagnosed them in the first place, because we knew there was something wrong with them, but we didn't label them Asperger's and autism. That was done by the professionals. He was taken to see the psychologist, and she spent an hour with him, an hour and a half chatting to him, and at the end of it, there was no battle, there was no fight. It was patently obvious that he wasn't the boy that had been diagnosed all those years ago. And what they said in the official medical report, confidential medical report from the NHS trust where we lived, was that Timothy is a neurodevelopmentally typical young man, and the label of Asperger's syndrome is not applicable. He has been discharged from my care. And that...
Okay, it seems that he's probably just on the spectrum if he was diagnosed with it at a younger age, or it was a misdiagnosis initially, which could happen. Or he could just be on the spectrum, and as an adult he has found himself able to cope very well and develop into someone who doesn't show a lot of outward signs of Asperger's, but that's a thing that can happen. A 1-hour appointment with the NHS isn't going to definitively tell you whether or not your kid has a thing that they may have, right? Dude Spanking Dude says, as someone on the autistic spectrum, I have Asperger's. I'm sensitive to certain noises, like someone clicking their tongue and stuff drives me up a fucking wall. Yeah.
That is, to see it written down, to see it, and I know this sounds awful, but to see it official really, really brings it home. So, as James developed and as James came out of his illness and came out of his disease, we wanted to do the same as well. And we were expecting probably an even worse fight with James, because we thought, again, we're going to take on the might of the state here, and these professionals aren't keen on being proven wrong, particularly with something like autism, because it is regarded as being something that can't be cured.
Your NHS doctor has absolutely no interest in whether or not they're proving the state right in their previous diagnosis, you psycho. They're just trying to do their job. And once again, a 1-hour appointment with a psychologist from the NHS that's never dealt with your kid before is not going to be able to give you a comprehensive diagnosis. That's not a thing. Ridiculous.
And so when we went to see the psychologist, she said, well, this is wrong. This diagnosis is obviously not applicable to him. He's a normal boy. He's perfectly capable of dealing and being what you would regard as normal. So she wrote in her official confidential psychology report that we only had last week, as a result of our discussions and my interactions and observations with James during our appointment, it is clear there has been significant progress over time in all areas associated with the triad of impairment with autism. As a result, the label autism spectrum disorder is no longer appropriate for James and should be removed from any documentation in the future that relates to him.
They're not saying he's cured of autism. What that individual psychologist is saying is that they don't feel the original diagnosis was appropriate. So it's entirely possible your kids didn't actually have these things and they had some other disorder that wasn't diagnosed appropriately. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I am not a doctor. But neither are you. So to try and claim that what at best is a misdiagnosis is somehow proof of a cure of autism, again in quotes because I wouldn't use that term, it's mind-bogglingly stupid. It's sick.
And you just, you know, you can't, when I read that, I just want to start crying, really, because it's not just what we've experienced, and it's not just that we know it, but because this is now official, it means that forever and ever. So when we've gone, when the boys are men, when they're old and they're grey, they will not have this with them. They will not have carried this burden that they've had to carry in their young lives. They are...
Fuck you! As if it would matter. Who cares?
Are free of it, and the authorities, if you like, have recognised that as well, and they won't be persecuted or hindered in any way for what has happened when they were children. And I suppose for us, well, for me certainly, that's...
I'm very concerned at some point one of the kids, either the older or the younger, I'm a little bit more concerned about the younger, is going to face some new issue involving the potential that they do have some sort of spectrum, disorder, and they're going to face some difficulty involving that, and their parents are going to refuse to address that and get them help for whatever issue it might be, specifically because they refuse to accept that this thing wasn't magically fixed by Jesus. Very scary. M the Ambassador 19 with 100 bits. What this tells me is that this guy sees autistic people as lesser. Fuck him, yeah. Ditto. Fuck this guy.
the best thing that we could do for them. The best thing that we can do for both boys is to give them a future that we didn't think that they were going to have. And this gives us that future.
That's some sick shit.
Sometimes you have to pinch yourself to think, well, I'm actually with the same two children, you know, that were born to me, because the change in the way that we play and the change in the way that they relate to me is very pronounced.
And I used to dream about all four of us going out to dinner together and not worrying about anything, just like a normal family. I used to dream that if we were invited out to other people's houses, we'd all just go and it would be fine. There wouldn't no fallout, nothing. We'd just be able to go. I used to dream about going to the cinema and eating popcorn, and boys eating popcorn and watching a movie together as a family. None of these things had we ever done before. But we went to the cinema, we bought the popcorn, we did it just as I had imagined. We are a normal family, and I am the mother of normal, healthy children, just like Andrew said.
Fucking disgusting. Fuck you, lady. You should not have had kids. You should not have had kids if you weren't willing to love and accept and nurture them regardless of who they were. Fuck you.
So that's it. Happy.
That's sick. Sick shit. And that was being promoted by this lady who is Butch Hartman's wife.
Hello, I'm Julianne Hartman, and welcome to the Healing Journeys Today YouTube channel. We are so excited you're here. If you're dealing with any sickness in your body or in your mind, then you've come to the right place. All of our speakers have come through illnesses, conditions, and life-threatening diseases where they tried everything they knew to get well. Well, when nothing else worked, they turned to
We will move on. I just wanted to see what else they had for future bullshit, like, to look at. Ugh. So gross. So gross. Let's see what else we got. Okay, so someone sent me these people. Lynn McGonigal, Light Workers Healing Method, Angelically Guided Energy Healing. I think they think that they energy heal people or something. I don't know if I understand exactly what they believe, but I watched a little bit of a video and it was interesting.
Beings having a human experience. Our souls have a plan for our lives before we're born. We know there are going to be challenges, but we expect to win. Then we're born,
Jeff does them?
harder than we thought it was going to be.
Didn't know that.
And almost immediately, for all of us, we start playing the game of life small. Start playing the game of life small, doing less than our soul commitment, doing less than our soul commitment. Then we start suffering. This is what creates illness. This is what creates disharmony. This is what creates suffering and stuckness.
No, a myriad of things can create illness. Viruses, bacteria, parasites, immune responses. Like, illnesses are caused by a lot of things, but not what you're talking about.
The challenges occur. The way we react to them creates our experience of life. And so, luckily, we all have these wise, loving beings connected with us who know everything about us and love us unconditionally. Labels don't matter. Whether we call them guardian angels or spirit guides or something else, it doesn't matter. They're here for us. They're here for everybody.
I think it would matter if there was such a thing as some entity following you around and causing things to happen or not happen to you. I'd like to know what it was. Seems like it would be a pretty important thing to believe in or understand.
Is to help us do it. Do it means live our soul plan. Help us in every moment. Do exactly what it is that we're supposed to do right then in that moment. There's always something for us to do. Right now, this moment, there's something for everybody on earth to do. And our guide's commitment is to help us do it. So they're on it. They're on it. They never give up on anybody. And when we come back into alignment with our soul plan, our lives start.
Question, teacher. Hey, what evidence do you have that these beings that are following you around like guardian angels exist? You just feel it? Because, like, people can feel a whole lot of things. That doesn't necessarily make what they feel true, right? Like, there are people who believe they can project force fields. Force field guy. Let me see if I can find him. So this guy tries to do, like, similar workshops of, like, energy and stuff. And he tries to get a woman to project a force field with her mind. And he's gonna run into her as hard as he can. And, well, you can probably connect the dots and figure out what happens when she tries to block him with a force field.
Breathe in, pull the energy in. Pull it down, and push the energy out the hand. Big breath. More power, more power, more passion, more power. Big. Look into the hands. Good. Good. Yes, Magnus, good. Good. You want to defend? Not quite. As soon as you see me move, everything you got in there, you push it out. Well, can we do it? We can do it. Well, let's go. Sure.
The funniest thing to me is, obviously all of us here know this is complete bullshit. So the teacher pretends to fall down when these guys do the force field, as if something's actually stopping him, but of course it isn't. Force fields don't exist. But when the woman does it, he straight up runs into her. He tackles her like a fucking linebacker. Which means he knew he was doing it intentionally. And I guess, as far as, like, running a con goes, maybe you want to be like, well, we gotta have someone fail, because otherwise it's just ridiculous that everyone succeeds their first time trying to make force fields happen. But instead of using one of these bigger dudes to knock into, he runs into this tiny woman! It's the most ridiculous shit. He was supposed to be warned while he was running, I guess. Captain Carroll, thank you for following. he pretends to, like, spasm on the ground, like their force field is messing with his nervous system or something.
You ready? Yes, come here. You stand here. And Magnus and Rebecca, you prepare.
The other guy missed their cue. Is he running with his eyes closed? I guess I never noticed if that's the case. Oh! Oh, shit! That poor woman. It looked like it hurt a lot. We need to get a replay of that. Oh! Hey, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Oh! Oh no! She's like holding her like coccyx bone. That's not good. And then he has to pretend like he's hurt too, so everyone doesn't call him an asshole, so he pretends to, like, spasm.
Okay, ready to join us in the circle?
Good cover. Good cover. Someone has some other link similar to this in the chat. Hold on. Here's a similar one, but with a martial artist versus a chi master. Oh, that's not gonna go well for the chi guy. There's a guy who I think once tried to kill someone on air psychically and it didn't work. Here's a better quality. Thank you. That is kind of rough quality. Captain Rachel. Thank you. Oh, better. This is a Ki master. He can knock people out without even touching them. Mm-hmm. You get your black belt in this when you figure out that you just gotta go down when he acts like he's knocking you down. Like, what if the students just don't play into his shit? What if they just decide, no, I'm not gonna pretend. Fuck you. Fight me. Like he has the force. He offered $5,000 to any MMA fighter who won't be afraid to fight him. Oh boy. I'd imagine, does he buy his own bullshit? Like, does he not know that they're just, like, placating him because he's, like, the sensei? Or whatever they call it in do they call it a sensei still in China? I guess it would depend upon the martial art. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. The MMA fighter agreed to meet the Kai master, and this is what happened afterwards. This is gonna be yikes. Senpai? Oh, that makes sense. They call him the Senpai.
Stop.
Oh! That sounded like a Rocky movie when he's punching the beef. Like, that was like a smack. Not Sifu? I have no idea. It's something. I have no idea. This ref is just like, are you sure you want to keep going, bro? We can call this off. I wonder if the guy who does the no-touch martial arts, if his students that are watching are like, oh, I should get into a real martial art. See, if I were the MMA guy, I'd give him a couple, like, I'd have him come at me with his bullshit for a little bit, just to prove, like, it doesn't do anything, you know? That's satisfying. That's pretty satisfying. Same fight from a different angle? Okay, I'll watch it twice.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Hold on, there's a link to it. Chinese MMA fighter Zhu Zidong has social credit score lowered, barred from buying plane tickets and real estate. Fuck that! What the fuck? For proving this bullshit wrong? That's so stupid. China's ridiculous. The government specifically, not, you know, the people. Dudes spanking dudes. On an unrelated note, I told my cousin who came over today that I'm still trans. You know what she said? What are your name and pronouns? Like, is that so hard to ask? Good cousin. Congrats. I'm glad your cousin isn't so shit like the rest of your family. That's a shame that a lot of them are, not supportive. Sorry about that.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Dude Spanking Dude says, fun fact about China, ghosts and fiction of any sort of media are banned, and Animal Crossing is banned. Yeah. China's nuts. The government of China is so ridiculous in its, like, overbearing censorship. It's so stupid. I feel bad for people who, like, live in China. I hope things will get better for people there, but I have a feeling things are gonna get worse before they get better, so. Is this another one? Master Juka Lampla claims it can be used to control an attacker without touching them. On December 7th, Juka Lampla came to Barcelona, Spain to do a one-day seminar for 90 euros. On Friday the 6th, there was an open demonstration. Everyone had permission to use their cameras. As skeptics, we couldn't miss this opportunity. What language are the closed captions in? I just want English, please. English? There we go. Let's see if that helps.
Just relax, breathe out, and open our heart.
Solamente tenemos que relajarnos, exhalar aire y abrir nuestro corazón.
The attacker is a Spanish Cayusho instructor. I'm not sure what Cayusho is, assuming some sort of martial art, who usually trains no-touch KOs. Let's see a bit more about how effective EFO is against believers. How do all these people buy into this bullshit? They're all just taking a dive, right? They must know that it's not real because they're the ones who are doing it intentionally. So how... It's like an emperor has no clothes thing. Everyone in the room knows it's fake, but you're all pretending collectively that it's real. It's so strange. But that's not all. Empty force is capable of paralyzing you on the ground. I want to get to the part where... What about trying it on skeptical people? What a shock.
I mean, EFO would be a self-defense method. Would it work as a self-defense method? Even if the aggressor, he has intention to hurt you, but he doesn't love you, actually.
I like that they kind of fucked up this guy's whole bullshit con seminar.
There's nothing funny about the tools.
The new Jackie Chan movie looks great. Yes, it does. That's great. I want to see this guy walk into an alley somewhere and a mugger comes up with a switchblade and goes, "Give me all your money," because we live in, 1930s New York. And him to try and go, "Oh," and see if it takes the guy down. There was a whole panel at TAM one year, I'm not sure what TAM is, about Wu martial arts. You can watch it here. Oh, that's interesting. Let me click on it.
Our next panel is...
Oh, the amazing meeting. Okay. Gotcha. Interesting. I love it. Yeah, that's a fucked up thing to scam people over, because they're relying on you to try and, like, learn self-defense, something that could actually come into play in a serious way. Like, if someone's gonna get mugged or whatever, which, by the way, if you're getting mugged, you should just probably give them your money. If they have a knife, run. If they have a gun, probably just give them your money. You can replace things. You can't replace your life.
There's nothing funny about the tools.
You shouldn't take self-defense lightly if you're going to do it, and try and do it with your hands. And trying to teach people horse shit is basically handing someone a gun full of blanks to defend themselves. It's just gonna hurt them in the end, and it's very stupid. Dude Spanking Dude says, here's a vid. Okay. Charge for a gun, run from a knife. I know they say charge for a gun. I wouldn't do that. If someone wants my money and they have a gun, they can fucking have my money. Like, I'm not gonna risk that shit. If it's a life or death situation, I guess, sure. But if it's just a robbery, they're probably not gonna shoot you. Yeah. Very, very silly.
Start to work. Physical things heal. Mental things heal. Emotional things heal. Spirituality, click, click, click. Ooh, that was nice. Finances heal.
What the fuck?
That was the sarcasm part of the program. Finances heal. Relationships heal. Things heal. When we come back into alignment with our soul plan, our lives start to work.
Hold on, let me, did I pause that video already?
Do what?
There we go.
New martial arts studio here in town is offering a unique form of martial arts to the heartland. For the story tonight, we go to America's Midwest foreign correspondent, Jeff Houghton.
Korea's have Taekwondo. Brazil has Jiu-Jitsu. Israel has Krav Maga. And now the Midwest has their own martial art. They call it Taekwondo.
Oh! Let me just sneak right past you there. Oh!
Here at Dunham's Martial Arts, they train in kicking, punching, and self-defense. Infused with some good old-fashioned Midwest nice.
Sorry. So when you gotta fight someone over the last pack of Kogel hot dogs.
Sorry. We train our students so they don't have to use it. But if they do need to defend themselves, we want them to apologize while they do it.
My bad, how's your mom? My bad, how's your mom?
They cover everything from the basics to the advanced.
Excuse me, let me scooch by you. Excuse me, let me scooch by you. Excuse me, let me scooch by you. Let me scooch by you.
I really enjoy that it gives me the opportunity to defend myself when need be, but the wisdom to know when not to use it.
Receive the gift. Mail the thank you. Into tornado warning.
Many students say that more than self-defense, the class has helped them grow in competence for their everyday life as well.
There's this guy at work that bullies me, and yesterday he was talking about my mom again, and I had the courage to not offer him a second helping of casserole.
This is like a The Onion news piece. Is this like a parody, or is this like legit a thing they're doing as a joke? Like a real workout and self-defense routine with a layer of heavy sarcasm on top.
And he likes casserole.
Others definitely feel empowered and strong and capable.
I definitely feel empowered and strong and capable.
Excuse me, ma'am, can we get the check? Whenever you're ready. No rush. Excuse me, ma'am. Can I have a check? Whenever you're ready. No rush.
For 41-year-old Stacy Williams, it's all about reaching her dreams.
This is a big day for Stacy. A little over a year ago, she couldn't even break a beef tenderloin, let alone a pork.
Yeah, I've been practicing really hard, and then I just focused today, and I did it. I broke the pork tenderloin, so
it's a
a
funny
bunch of us
joke.
are gonna go to Casey's and get a pizza. Well, some of us.
Proof that dreams do come true, as long as this studio stays in for business. I'm Jeff Houghton, America's Midwest foreign correspondent. Back to you, David.
Okay.
It's cute. It's cute. Face to face with a shape-shifting witch doctor. Right.
Hello, Sid Roth here. Welcome to my world, where it's naturally supernatural. My guest has raised 36
Chuds? I guess we can do a chud. Let me see what we got. The quartering. Has he done a Brie Larson video? I need Brie Larson! No, he hasn't done one. It's the weekend. Does anyone have anyone that they want me to look at? What about Hans Wormhat? Why temple acoustics are so good? It's only 4 minutes.
Hans Wormhat. I think I just put a few different pieces together in my mind that I've been thinking about for a while, and it's a really quick observation, but I think it's one of those things.
Do we need to talk about my dependence on Jeremy's videos about Brie Larson? I can quit whenever I want to, damn it.
That can kind of set the stage for
They
you. They
try to make me go to rehab, and I say no. No. No.
When you read the Bible.
Amy Winehouse said that, and frankly, it worked out for her, so.
Bible, and for me, those were really helpful and impactful. When I feel like now, okay, I understand now the context behind this a little better. And so that's for the Psalms. You know how when you read the Psalms, I don't think all versions of the Bible do this. If you look it up online, I don't think it always tells you.
Is Hans pitching his voice deeper than usual? Because I feel like it sounds like he's trying to sound deeper. Which is kind of weird.
But a lot of Bibles at the top of a psalm, it'll say, written for this musician, or written to the, see this one, to the chief musician.
Beta VHS.
And I always kind of wonder
Thanks
what
for
was going on
following.
there
Welcome to the
and
stream.
Where the missing music is.
He could be sick. Maybe he caught the big Rona, which he thinks isn't a real thing anyway. So that would be kind of ironic.
And I actually think that classical music might be a hidden in plain sight. Maybe some of these psalms had really famous musical pieces backing them up, and they just moved them over and call them classical music today. I don't know. That's a total guess. That's not exactly what this video is about.
Wait, are you claiming that people like Beethoven, Chopin, I don't know a ton of classical music writers, are you saying that those people stole their music from biblical sources, from psalms, when no one knows what psalms were actually sung to? Like, that's a thing we don't know. What?
Right, it's kind of a mystery. Where's the musical aspect to the Psalms? And then the way that
it was probably culturally preserved for a long period of time by the Hebrews, but at some point it was lost. They didn't necessarily have musical notation the same way we do today, so it was probably some sort of oral tradition, and at some point the link was severed. So whatever the Psalms were sung as have been lost to time, unfortunately.
The Psalms are written, it doesn't look like somebody's sitting there writing a pop song. It just looks like somebody's giving a prayer. And I think that kind of explains it. It explains what was going on in the temple those days, and I think it's connected to the amazing acoustics in cathedrals and why they have these giant pipe organs in cathedrals.
It's because choir music was a huge thing in religion for a long period of time in Europe. What? It was a huge part of religion to have, like, choirs in churches that would, you know, the it was such a thing that, like, in like Italy, they literally had eunuchs just to be in the choir. They were called the castrati. Like, this was a thing. Hans, do 5 seconds of research.
And so what I think was happening was this. So I think you could go into the temple and I don't know if you had to have certain status or I don't know exactly the little details. I have no idea how that stuff worked, but I think that you could give a prayer, maybe write it down, I don't know, recite it to somebody, and I think that what they would do is they would take your prayer and put it to music. They would have the pipe organ, you know, maybe think for a few minutes about something, but then improvisation is huge in classical.
Hans, cathedrals in Europe didn't exist when the Psalms were written. The Psalms were written much prior to Christianity, much less Christianity in Europe. Hans, your timetable is completely fuckered. This is not the series of events that happened. The Old Testament happened, which includes the Psalms. They were... Hold on. Okay, so the Psalms are part of the Bible. I'm pretty sure they're part of the Old Testament. Let me double check. Old Testament? Yeah, they're in the Old Testament. So they were like Jewish prayers which predate Christianity. So the Old Testament happens, then Jesus comes about, Jesus gets killed by the Romans, Christianity becomes a thing, it eventually spreads throughout the Roman Empire, spreads throughout Europe. This is like hundreds and hundreds of years happening, and then like the cathedrals were built long after. We're talking about thousands of years in between these events. At like 1,000. Let me look at how what's the oldest cathedral in Europe? The oldest cathedral, the oldest part at least, is from 340 AD. That's pretty impressive. That's 340 years after Jesus died, or around 310. He died at like 33. Oldest church buildings. I want pictures. Trying to find the... Construction for Notre Dame began in 1163, 1,000 years after Jesus died, and the Psalms were written hundreds and hundreds of years prior to that. So Hans, when you look at a grand cathedral, do not think Old Testament times. That's not when these things were made. Okay, bud? Cool.
Music, and in pipe organ especially. So it's just like a random... Do you know how sometimes you just have these...
Oh, was he looking at St. Paul's specifically? St. Paul's Cathedral. Age. 1675 to 1781 it was built. So let's even give him the benefit of the doubt and say 1675. This is 1630-something years after the death of Jesus, and the Old Testament is long before that. Let's see when the Psalms are written. When were the Psalms written? 5th century BCE. So we're talking like 2,000 year difference, Hans.
Life events where you're like, it feels weird that I have this event, but the knowledge I got from that event is becoming meaningful in this moment. One time I just saw a pipe organ performance just on a whim, just because they...
Thank you to Comrade Trash Rat for following. Welcome to the stream.
It was like a free thing I could go to. And the guy talked about how important improvisation is in pipe organ music. So I think that's what they did. They would take people's prayers, and just think, when all these pieces click together, it just made so much sense. And imagine walking into a cathedral and you just hear this pipe organ music blasting, and you hear, maybe a group of singers, a whole choir, I have no idea. But you hear people...
How would a group of people improv the same prayer at the same time? That's not how improv works. You need to... If you're all on the same page for a song, you need to know the words. You can't all improv at the same time.
People singing prayers that people are giving, and it's because they were trying to send these prayers to God. These people, their whole lives revolved around this stuff. Everything was about God, and singing their praises to God. How often in the Bible do you hear about singing their praises to God? And so that's what was happening in these places. And it kind of goes along with this idea. People know that there's this acoustic connection, and people have said before that, oh, the temples were like healing centers, which is probably also true. But anyways, let me know what you think. I think I kind of stumbled
I think
upon,
your time scale is completely off, Hans. That's what I think.
Thinking about these things separately, and then they all just fit together. I think you walk into the temple, I think that you can give your prayer to somebody, and I think that they would put your prayer to music. And because it magnifies your prayer. I mean, just imagine how cool that would be if you could walk into a temple, write your prayer down, and then just have it played over the pipe organ and sung by the...
I'm sure people want their very, very private prayers sung to the entire congregation.
Choir. It would just be amazing. And I think that they wrote down some of those prayers. They kept them. The really good ones. And now we can read them today. Hope you enjoy the video. God bless everyone.
Hans, the Psalms were written 2,000 years before the cathedral that you're looking at. No, you're wrong. Once again, you're nailing it, Hans. As always. Someone sent me this video, Mortal Kombat is getting woke, MK11 breakdown. I could actually talk about this a little bit, because I enjoy the Mortal Kombat games. I have MK11, I like playing them, I like the story modes, I like unlocking costumes for the characters and customizing, I like doing the crypt stuff. The only issue is I'm not very good at it. I can't play online, I get my ass kicked every single match. I am not good at Mortal Kombat, but I can speak to, like, the lore a little bit, I guess, and, like, you know, the characters.
I'll start this video off by saying that I am not in any way, shape, or form outraged about the stuff that I'm about to discuss. I just really love Mortal Kombat, and this is just some interesting changes that they've made to the franchise.
This is from April 28th, 2019, so this must be about, you know, when the original Mortal Kombat 11 came out, before the DLC and stuff.
And especially to, like, the progressives that might stumble upon this, I want to assure you, especially when I'm discussing the costumes for the females, it's all good. I'm in no way, shape, or form a misogynist. I love women.
Supreme victory!
MK11 just came out recently, and I've been enjoying it quite thoroughly, except for the fact that I feel like something's wrong with my game because Chronica in the story was absolutely obliterating me. Like, I was seeing people, I was watching their playthroughs, and I was thinking, okay...
She's the final boss. She's the final boss. It's supposed to be difficult.
She was just standing around getting her ass kicked. But for some reason, in my playthrough, if you make one mistake, she will absolutely destroy you. And
are you playing at a higher difficulty? You might be playing at a higher difficulty than the other people were.
Not just be unrelenting like a very hard AI with rubber band. Like, seriously, I had more trouble with her than I did fighting Dark Eater Madeir in DS3. Just to give you some type of context, because, you know, people always...
She is like a, yeah, she's like the god of time in the Mortal Kombat universe, and at the end of the game, Liu Kang takes her crown and becomes like the new god of time to reforge the Mortal Kombat universe. Basically, they're rebooting it again, it seems like.
Tell you to get good, but it's like I can whoop DS3, and I was having some trouble with that, so I was kind of
You want to talk about fucking cheat bosses? Can we talk about, like, what the heck is his name? Khan. Oh shoot, why can I not think of his name? Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn and his stupid, spammy, giant warhammer. Oh my god, I can't deal with that in, like, the last game or the game before that, whichever one he was the final boss in. That was a nightmare.
Scratching my head, but I digress. Is Mortal Kombat becoming woke? That is the question that a lot of people are asking.
It's a game about ripping people's spines out. What?
I would say overwhelmingly the answer would be no, because for the most part it's still the same beloved Mortal Kombat that we all know and love. There's been a few tweaks here and there, especially when it comes to the gameplay, the fighting styles, and I think it's for the better, actually. I actually really like the fluidity, and I think there's a lot of additions that are really cool, and I appreciate very much so. But there's little tidbits here and there that makes it obvious that there is some, you know, progressive people in NetherRealm Studios. They're just
There are progressive people in all sorts of media because the kind of people that go into the arts tend to be people with empathy and creativity. No shit.
sprinkling their political ideals on it just a little bit. You know, nothing that's extremely jarring or enough for you to want to like throw the game away, but there is some stuff in there that just kind of makes you either laugh because it's so silly or just roll your eyes because you're like, come on, man, please keep your politics out of my video games. So
oh, he said the thing! He said the thing! Keep your politics out of my video games. Remember, there are two genders, men and political.
First thing I noticed is woke Jax, and I actually discovered this on my own because the first people that I beat the stories with was Scorpion, of course, because he's just the ship by default, and then Sonya Blade, which I really like Sonya, and I think I'm actually gonna main her, regardless of Ronda Rousey's horrible voice acting.
Cut this shit! You'll kill us whether we fight or not.
And then I beat with Jax because he's another one of my favorite characters, because, I mean, just come on, like, just look at him. Look at who doesn't want metal arms like that? And for the few of you that don't know, MK11 is completely infused with time travel. It's actually been for the past 3 games, and it's reached a fever pitch in this game. And so a lot of people's endings are all gonna have with like different timelines and stuff like that. And this is what Jax had to say in his.
My family and I have lived the American dream. But most people who look like me haven't had that chance. I owe it to them to put things right. And I'm not waiting centuries for people to get woke when I've got the power to speed things up.
The dialogue is incredibly cringy.
Why would that not make sense? No offense, dude, but like, if you went back in time and you had the power to change history, would you not want to change things for the better? Would you not want to, like, stop mass genocide and enslavement? That seems like a reasonable thing to do, especially if you're from a disadvantaged group that has been enslaved in the past. Like, seems like that would make sense in terms of a time travel ending, right?
Using the word woke just pisses me off. I never liked it. I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
He's literally like, I'm not waiting for people to get woke. I'm gonna go change history. What? You understand what he means. You're just mad that a word that exists. People know what that means. You know what it means. So it's a word that has a use. I'm not seeing where you're getting a disconnect here, friend.
But I will say, I'm not like mad at the fact that, oh, somebody would want to end slavery. Like,
it seems like you are, because you bring it up. So, what the fuck's the point? You used the word woke in this video earlier. So, are you just mad the word woke exists? M the Ambassador 19 with 100 bits. Context is for cucks. True.
Like, I get it. I get that. I'm going to take this opportunity to do something like this. When you think about it, like, how many people, if they had the opportunity, they would go back and
kill Hitler.
So I'm not mad at the choice that they made for him. It's just the wokeness thing. Especially for Jax, like, and how old he is. There's no way in hell he would ever use that type of language. That is...
I don't see why that would... People know what the word woke means. It's, like, proliferated throughout the culture. People know what woke means, dumb fuck.
It's reserved for young black people, for the most part. You know, obviously there's a lot of young white people that, you know, very, very far left-leaning that want to be woke. You know, they want to appease, like, everyone that's a minority and stuff. But
imagine legit thinking, like, yeah, ending slavery, good. But he said the word woke, so it's not okay anymore. What?
But people that are gonna be around 50 or anywhere around that are not the ones saying woke, man. Just like they're not saying lit or any other stupid lingo that's going.
He has a kid. He has a kid who he interacts with regularly, Jackie Briggs. He probably picked it up from her. It also doesn't matter because it's a video game. It's not even the canon. Excuse me. It's not even the canon ending. That's the ending you get if you do just the typical MK Tower with Jax. Like, what? What a weird thing to get triggered over.
Going around. Now, this next little thing I stumbled upon on Twitter, and I am so happy I found it. Essentially, what they're trying to do is associate Trump with Shao Kahn. Believe it or not. So one cool thing that
Kinda
fighting
funny.
games do is that they'll have a little bit of back and forth banter when you're about to face off against somebody, especially if they know each other. It gets even more personal, and it's really cool. So the thing that happens with Shao Kahn and the Collector's a new person that I just think is a complete waste of space. I am not fond of the Collector at all. You know, maybe you guys like him, but I think he's trash. So when they meet up, this is one of the exchanges that they have.
For 25 years, you've remained loyal.
You are the one true Khan.
Let us make Outworld great again.
It's on the nose, but it's a little funny. For those of you who don't know, basically within this time period, Kotal Khan has become the leader of, I don't know if anyone gives a fuck about MK lore, but there are all these different worlds, right? And Outworld is one of the realms. Shao Kahn is traditionally the Khan, the leader of Outworld, and he rules it with an iron fist. It's like where Baraka and a bunch of other people are from. But Kotal Khan has become the leader, so with time travel shenanigans, Shao Kahn shows up in this future where he's no longer the leader, and he wants to take back his throne from Kotal Khan. Okay. So that's why he's saying, make Outworld great again, so he can be back on the throne. It's a joke.
Outworld great again. I love it. It's one of those things that absolutely backfires. Obviously, yeah, in the world, Shao Kahn is just evil and maniacal and stuff, and then they want to associate that with Trump. I understand what they're trying to do, but see, it's such a stupid thing to do because Shao Kahn is one of the coolest characters in the Mortal Kombat universe.
Okay, but he's fucking evil. You could think his, like, as a fighter, he's cool. Fine. I don't particularly find him interesting because he's just basically big, shirtless, angry dictator with a hammer. It's not that interesting to me. But to say he's like one of the coolest characters is fucking bizarre. He's like a fascistic leader of a realm. What? Like, Scorpion and Sub-Zero are cool. Like, they have interesting backstories. Both Sub-Zeros do. And one of them becomes Noob Saibot. That's interesting. And the interactions between, like, Scorpion and Sub-Zero, those are cool. Even, like, Johnny Cage is cool in a corny way. To say Shao Kahn is cool is weird to me. I find him to be, like, the most boring out of all the characters. He's just evil, but whatever.
Like, he's one of my absolute favorite characters. I paid $100 for this motherfucker because he's that much of a pimp.
Hey, I buy dumb plastic shit too, but that didn't look like it was worth $100, no offense.
And now you want to associate that extremely badass character with Trump? Not a good look if you're not a fan of him. Because the people that are fans of him, they absolutely love that.
Little loser Liu Kang, you sound like a turkey when you do your fighting moves. Low energy.
You're just making the same joke. It's still funny, right? It's funny to see evil dictator fascist Shao Kahn using the same rhetoric as Donald Trump. That's the joke. It's funny. It's why you're doing this bit. Jesus.
Shao Kahn 2020.
So there was quite a few people complaining about this next bit of wokeness. I saw some YouTube videos. I saw a lot of, reactions on Twitter and in forums and whatnot. And I quite frankly didn't really care, especially because when it came to MKX, I really liked the direction that the women were looking in. I liked their costumes and their...
I've never liked how some of the women look in the MK games because it comes off as pandering when they're dressed like this. Like, if you like it, it's fine. It's up to you. I don't really care. But at the end of the day, it's basically wank material. They don't look like warriors. They look like pinup models that teenage boys jerk off to. I find, like, this version of Melina to be more reasonable than this version, right? At least here she's wearing some sort of, like, leather breastplate. Obviously, she has tons of weak points, and it wouldn't make sense to wear this in actual combat still. But this is gratuitous. This is like what an 11-year-old thinks is sexy. Jesus.
designs, because in MK9, a lot of them were kind of carbon copies. They all had these nice big thighs, these abs of steel, and then massive titties. They were so insanely big.
Yeah. Yep.
And don't get me wrong, yeah, that shit's hot.
Oh, that's hot.
But I don't need all of the women to look like that. I mean,
certainly for people like, oh gosh, why am I blanking on her name? Johnny Cage's ex-wife. Whatever her name is. It makes sense for her to be in more military gear because she's like a special ops military person. Sonya Blade, thank you. But, like, even the Outworld people who might be wearing more, like, flowing robes and stuff, why would they be wearing, like, titty clothes? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And not that things need to make sense in a fighting game, but, like, it doesn't make me think this is a consistent world with characters. It makes me think they made this for children to jerk off to.
It's just a little silly. So I pretty much forgot that people were even complaining about all that stuff. And then when I started playing the game, I really started noticing, like, oh yeah, a lot of women are covered up, not just like...
Okay, for one thing, Devora, I want to say her name is, something like that. She's naked here. She's not covered up. She's a insect. This is just her exoskeleton. She's completely naked here. She just happens to have a fucking exoskeleton. Scarlet looks like this, which makes sense. That's reasonable. And then we have Jade in this outfit, which looks like an actual outfit as opposed to wank material. I think they look better like this. If you want to have classic costumes as, like, unlockables, I don't care. That's fine. I like having classic costumes for the, all the characters. But, like, to have more designs that make more sense in the world that they've built, it makes sense.
Oh, desexualized, like, they have extra clothing on that, like, they're almost all the way covered up. I wasn't mad or anything, but it did make me curious. It made me think, well, how come they're covering them up so much more when they already did a great job in MKX?
Hey, when will we get a skin for Johnny Cage in a thong? Just banana hammock Johnny Cage, okay? We want gender neutrality here, friendo. You want Jade in a bikini? I want Johnny Cage hanging dong.
I think that they're perfectly fine in MKX. So there's got to be some sort of reason for this.
Get woke.
Steve Barron, NetherRealm's art director, had this to say on the subject. Our character lead, Brendan George, has been a breath of fresh air of just introducing new ideas. Our design is just getting more mature and respectful. You're not gonna wear a bikini to a fight. You're just not gonna be showing so much skin. I think it's just what the game is about. You're gonna be in the fight for your life, and you're just not gonna be wearing so much scantily clad items.
And I agree, it comes off as more mature. There's this thing where some people seem to think being overtly sexual is, like, mature or adult, but it's the same thing as, like, just using swear words as a punchline, or, like, haha, the children's movie made a butt joke. Like, that doesn't make it adult, right? That's in some ways even more childish. The mature way to go about designing a universe, if you want to have one, and it seems that the studio that makes the MK games, NetherRealm, it seems like they put a lot of work into their story modes in the canon of the series. They have some of the best story modes out of any fighting game out there. I really enjoy them. They're trying to get you to take it seriously and take these characters seriously. They have all sorts of comic book series, not only for this, but like for stuff like Injustice. And if they want that to be the case, they need to be more than wank material for 12-year-olds. Gimpig with 100 bits. Boobies would be more useful in a fight than that psychic martial arts, kind of like a confusion spell.
To me, that doesn't really make sense because in MKX, they were already not scantily clad. Like, the women weren't super sexualized anymore, and I didn't see anybody complain about this whatsoever. It just seems like there was more of a push in MK11 to fully clothe them. Infinitely more than...
Women fully clothed in my video games? The horror!
the men, and that was the thing that kind of got weird to me. I'm like, oh, what was the reasoning behind this? Because if you look at the men, and if you look at some of their alternative costumes, for example, like Baraka, or you just look at Kotal Khan or something, they are infinitely more sexy than the women. And so we have the first Mortal Kombat game where the men are sexier than the women.
Okay. And you've had like 15 Mortal Kombat games with sexified women and covered up men. Would the opposite not be fair play? Just something to think about.
I mean, Jesus Christ, look at Kotal Khan in his chest, man. Those are some fantastic pecs. Like, I'm envious. I'm not gay, but sometimes I wish I were.
I mean, you can suck a dick if you want, dude. Do you?
So my point is they already desexualized the women in MKX and no one really had a problem with it at all. So what is the reason for clothing them even more? Like, some of the designs that I'm seeing, they're kind of like, it's not about them, oh, they need to show more skin or not, but it's almost like, well, that doesn't even look very appealing at all. Like, say, I'm looking at Jackie, who I actually really like her character, and Cassie, and I'm like, I feel like their characters...
They're wearing armor. They're in the military. They're wearing, like, tech armor.
Look like those armors in Mass Effect back in the day.
Yeah, that's sort of the aesthetic they're going for the paramilitary, like, organization that they work for. See how they are even, like, the same colors? It's because they're made probably by the same facility. I forget the name of the military organization they work for, but, like, they're going for an aesthetic. You don't have to like it, but it is consistent.
You know, the first one where they just weren't that good, they were still figuring shit out. But one thing I want to point out is not every woman in that game is fully covered from head to toe. Even though it's not a big deal, it is a little bit concerning because, you know, this era of wokeness and ultra progressivism, trying to be progressive at all costs, sometimes it turns...
At all costs! We put more clothing on the women in the video games. At what cost, though? I'll have to go online and take 5 seconds to look up Rule 34 to see these characters naked. My goodness. We've become woke, but at what cost?
Into regression. Like, it almost seems like, to a certain point, like they're covering up so much, it's almost like, whoa, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to please Middle Easterns? Are you trying to abide by Sharia law or something like that? Because in my opinion, the way that I think feminism works is women are supposed to be liberated and they can wear whatever the hell they want and they can...
Okay, these are fictional characters? They're fictional characters. They don't have a will. They can't decide what they want to wear. That's up to the character designer.
Be sexy, and especially in a video game where it's just fantasy, where like this dude's kind of talking about, oh, wanting to be a little bit more realistic and not be scantily clad in the fight of your life. So I'm like, the type of moves that these people do, like almost every move will kill them. Like every special move would kill somebody immediately. I think it's totally fine to have some sexy stuff like they've had in the past. You know, like I said, like I showed you, the men...
I'm pretty sure you can get, like, costumes and stuff in the crypt, because there's tons of, like, cosmetic options. I think there are classic costumes for MK. Let's see. Classic costumes MK11.
You're why I've been humming that.
So here we have some classic ninja costumes. Here we have some classic Jade and Melina costumes. I think these are for MK10. Here we have, oh, I'm forgetting, Sonya again in sort of a cutoff. There's classic Sonya. So you can get all sorts of different, like, options for them. Spawn's in the game now via DLC. MK11. Got George Michael on the mind tonight? I don't know, it's just stuck in my head. Runefar says, like, I'm all for sexuality and all, though I would guess this guy probably isn't, which is what I find funny as well. But also sometimes just good to expand your character's clothing style, yeah. It is because of Careless Whiskers, yes. They added RoboCop to MK11. I haven't gotten this expansion yet, but I will at some point. Maybe when it's on sale, because I think RoboCop v Terminator will be fun, because Terminator's another one of the DLC characters. Anyway, my point is there are all sorts of costumes. Look, here's like a titty witch costume for one of them. So, costumes for them do exist that make them scantily clad or in more suggestive clothing, if that's what you would like. So...
have some pretty good looking stuff, you know, where they're showing a lot of skin, so I don't see why the women can't. Like, if we're gonna do it like a level playing field and say women are equal, they can do whatever the hell they want. Like, I think there should be some variety.
Does Spawn have a sexy outfit? There's an outfit with him with no skin. Does that count as sexy?
But hey, if you don't want to put that in your game, that's totally fine. I just think...
Is it fine? Because you made a 13-minute video about how you don't like it. So, it seems like you don't think it's fine.
It's a little bit weird to just adhere to this, like, oh, we're being more mature, therefore women have to be more clothed. I think it's kind of the wrong direction to head in my opinion, of course.
Okay, USA.
So out of all the ones I just talked about, this is the only one that actually does bother me. Every single one of you know what the okay hand gesture means. It just means things are a-okay, everything's cool. And then when you put it in this direction, you know, and you put it below the belt, you try to get somebody to look at it as a game, and if they do, you get to hit them. It was first introduced, to my understanding, in Malcolm in the Middle, and I remember it quite vividly because it became so popular, everyone in my middle school was playing it. I can't believe I'm explaining this again. 4chan trolls a lot of people into thinking...
Okay. Oh god, are we gonna go on this again? The okay hand symbol, like a lot of things, is also a thing that has been used by white supremacists as a code. 4chan then says, hey, take this thing and troll people with it, that way that they have plausible deniability when you actually say, hey, this is a Nazi symbol. It doesn't mean everyone using the OK sign is a Nazi, because it doesn't, but it is a thing that gets used by white supremacists on occasion. They use things that are innocuous and can be seen as innocuous, that way when you call them out on it, they go, see, we trolled you. You think everyone's a Nazi. It's intentional. It's intentionally using things that can be seen as innocuous.
That the OK hand gesture is a symbol for white supremacy, like it's like a W and a P or something like that. A lot of people took the bait. They took it so much that now it's gotten out of control. You're getting the OK hand gesture banned from certain games, and that's exactly what happened to Johnny Cage. So Johnny Cage used to do the circle game. And then some people notice he doesn't do the OK hand symbol anymore. Now he flips you off.
Okay.
So somebody on Twitter asked the senior user interface artist of NetherRealm Studios, Dani Syed, I don't know if I said your name right, sorry, whatever. But somebody asked him, like, hey, what's the deal? And he replied, Nazis. Nazis.
Yes. Yep. Nazis fuck a lot of things up, don't they? It's a shame.
This OK hand symbol being spooky and scary is getting out of control. We already saw Blizzard freak out about it.
그럼 저희가 이제 조합 같은 거나 새로운 전략을
And I absolutely was not expecting NetherRealm to freak out about it. That's just weird. When you have this game that is just so brutal and violent and that's just done all these crazy things, it's like, oh, it's too... OK hand gesture is too extreme, bro.
Yeah, it's been used by white supremacists, so you don't want to use it.
So replace it with a...
White supremacists ruin a lot of things. What a shame.
Middle finger, which is universally known to be offensive.
because it's okay for someone to say, fuck you. That's in line with Johnny Cage's character. It wouldn't be in line for him to be doing a Nazi dog whistle.
So there you have it. Overall, Mortal Kombat is still Mortal Kombat, and it's still very fun. I enjoy it quite a bit. There's a lot of people that are mad about the woke stuff. For the most part, I don't give a shit, except for...
You made a 13.5-minute video about it. You clearly care.
The okay hand gesture, obviously. And there are some problems that they have apolitical in the game that they're patching. But that's pretty much the standard with games now. It's all about just throwing shit out there and we'll fix it later. You know, I hate that, but doesn't look like it's gonna change anytime soon. But what do you guys think about this situation? Has any of this stuff like annoyed you enough to not play it? Have you played it? What do you think about the game? Let's discuss this. I'm actually really curious to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section below.
Well, this guy sucks. I'm curious what else he got. I'll save him for another time. Jesus. What else do we got? Does anyone else have any suggestions for what to watch? I don't know. This is a 3-minute Sovereign Citizen thing.
Did you get it?
Oh no, he's running from the police. That's not good.
No. Do you get recorded? Save it. Alright, I mean, I did, but I mean, it sucked, dude. Okay, dog, don't matter. Save it.
Alright, it's saved.
No, you didn't go to save it to your thing.
It saved it, man. I'm going to my thing.
They're shooting, dog.
I know, he pulled his gun? He pulled his gun.
Yeah, bro. Lock your doors before we window. Okay. Record, dog.
Alright. My phone's fucking about dead. It won't record.
Listen. Plug it in right here. Plug it in right here.
Alright, I'm plugging it in. I'm plugging it in, dude.
There's never problem, dog.
Yeah, I got it, man. I got it. Yeah, I got it, man.
Let them act like idiots, dude.
I will, man.
Running from the cops is never a good move. I think everyone knows this, but it's always good to reiterate. Running from the cops is a great way to turn a traffic stop into a felony.
It is.
Or multiple felonies, more likely.
Yeah, they do.
They know what they're doing, dude.
Goddamn, put it on video, man.
Video's right next to it. Push
Where?
the red button, dude.
Red button, bam. It ain't fucking recording, dog.
Hold that button.
I will, man, but it's fucking too dead to record.
I don't want to comment on people's looks because, you know, it's not fair, and I'm in the process of self-improvement as well. But like, they look how I expected them to look. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, well, hold this fucking phone.
I will hold this one. Is it recording?
Yeah, let me see your phone, dude.
All right, here we go. Hey, turn the light off. Fuck the light being off, huh?
Lock your door.
I will. It is locked, dog. It is locked.
Okay.
Why's the light on? But anyways, why's the light on? Please do, man. You can get shot, dog.
No.
We're gonna shoot you.
Listen, I didn't do anything wrong.
It don't matter. Put your hands out the window.
Hey, you know you're acting out of control.
Put them out, please, dude.
I didn't do nothing wrong.
Please do.
They're right here, bro. Only a little bit. Turn it. Dude, you're out of control. Yeah, you are, bro. I have right to travel. I have right to travel.
He said the thing.
You're abusing me right now. I have right to travel. You are abusing me. You understand that? You know that? I have right to travel. You can't stop me from traveling. You can't see my tags. My tail gets way down. You can't see that. You must have done your homework, huh? You better back down, dude. Dude, you don't want to do this. You'll be a lawsuit. I'll own your house. I'll own your life.
I feel bad for the passenger because I feel like the passenger is not all about this sovereign citizen nonsense.
You really want to do this? Homeboy, roll the window back up. Roll the window up, homeboy.
I'm not rolling the window up. They're gonna shoot us.
Don't say it to you for what?
Don't shoot me.
Don't shoot me. For nothing.
Don't shoot me.
Do this for what? We had done nothing wrong. No, stand. Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
I'm
Get
not
out.
scared, dude. I want to come out though.
We have done nothing wrong.
Come out, passenger.
Please. No! No! Please! What? Please. We haven't done anything wrong! Okay. What have we done?
Nothing. We ain't done nothing.
We haven't done anything, so
what? But they're asking me to come out. Please.
Oh my, you understand? That you're recording it, you understand?
Oh, good. Thank God.
Bring it out, quick,
Get out while you can. This is part 2.
No, we have rights. I did nothing wrong.
I really hope the cops don't, like, charge the passenger with anything, because he was basically being held captive in that situation.
Hi, I'm here. I'm Andrew Nelson. I'm sitting in my vehicle. I'm scared shitless. They're gonna shoot me. They're acting like idiots. Sergeant Caleb. You understand what's going on? Okay, we can talk. No, why? No, I'm traveling.
You're driving. You're traveling in your car. That's driving.
I'm traveling. I have rights to travel. You're affecting my rights to travel. Do you understand that?
Long Sock, thanks for following. Welcome to the stream.
Okay, I'm gonna win. No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not. Brother, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just, dude, you guys know me. Quit picking on me.
You ran from the cops and don't have a license or a proper registration. What did you think was gonna happen?
Alright? You guys here I'm not here to do nothing wrong.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capital.
Yeah, that's it.
Stephaloni, thanks for continuing your subscription. Stephaloni says, imagine carpooling with some dude and he just pulls this shit on you. Yeah.
Look.
The passenger's lucky they're both white. This could have gone real bad if they weren't.
You're breaking and entering my car? You guys are breaking and entering my vehicle. You're breaking the law. You know this. Don't do it, dude. You're fucking yourself. I'm gonna sue you. Don't do it, please. Don't break the law. Don't break the law.
They're giving you so many chances here, friendo. You're in so much trouble already. You've definitely gotten a felony charge for running from the police. You may have more felony charges depending on how erratically you were running from the police. You're gonna have tickets on top of that for driving without a license and without a registration. And now you're resisting arrest by not allowing them into your car. None of this is good. Every decision you're making is the wrong one.
Did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. You're breaking the law. You're breaking the law. You break that window, you're breaking the law. All you guys, please.
They would not be breaking the... I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but if they break the window and he's resisting arrest after running from the police, they're justified in doing so. They need to get him out of the car so to make sure he does not run further and endanger people's lives in a high-speed chase. Because clearly he's being incredibly erratic.
Don't, please. Hey, don't, please. Dog, you're breaking in there, please don't. Please? Please? Dog, please don't.
Stop, you've broken the law.
Please. Please, I did nothing wrong, bro. I did nothing wrong.
Just put on the gray cowl of Nocturnal, bro. Or take it off, it'll be fine.
To travel, I did nothing wrong. No, I do too. Look at the rights. Look, I have rights to travel. Please. Please.
For those of you who don't know, I feel like I reiterate this every time, but sovereign citizens believe that they, quote, have the right to travel as long as they do not classify it as driving. They do this by misreading a legal dictionary called Black's Law Dictionary, an edition from like 100 years ago that says that driving in the law is defined as being employed in the process of operating a carriage, cart, or automobile. Now, they look at the word employed and literally believe that it means being employed, like being a commercial driver for a company. Of course, that's not what employed in the activity of means. Being employed in driving something just means doing the thing. It's a little bit old-timey in how they word it, but that's because it's a law dictionary from 100 years ago. The subsequent editions of Black's Law Dictionary, by the way, don't even use this verbiage in regard to the definition of driver. So it's multiple levels of wrong.
Please don't. Please don't, please. Please. Please, I don't want to wait, please. Don't, please. Okay, I don't want.
Hands up. Hands where I can see it. Hands up. Hands up. Get down on the ground. Down on the ground. A3 window was broken, subject to detained. A3 affirmative. We have one investigation. Andrew, any weapons on you? Okay. How much you had to drink tonight, Andrew? Nothing. I just smell alcohol from the door.
I think they just said they can smell alcohol on him, which would make a lot of sense.
Not me. Okay, I appreciate that. Okay, I'm gonna roll you to your side this way, Andrew. There you go. I got you. Where's the knife that was in the sheath? In the truck? Okay. I'm just checking. You're what?
They're sitting on the seat. They're in the middle of a bunch of glass. But we'll get them.
I'll get it for you. We'll stand up. As long as there's no, you don't see any weapons? No. Go ahead and kick your knee.
Crazy. Anyway, let's see what else we have. Oregon Energy, the greatest discovery, suppressed by the FDA. Doubt?
It's said that in order to awaken to our full potential...
This channel is verified, by the way, on YouTube. They have 1 million subs. Jeez.
We must be willing to see the ways that information is being suppressed or...
Can we go back to the witch doctor? I guess, sure.
7 people from the dead. His team has raised 500 from the dead.
No. No one has ever been raised from the dead miraculously. At best, some people have been able to be brought back after they've had, like, heart death or whatever. But, like, that's not magic. No one's ever magically brought someone back from the dead. That's not how anything works.
Do you want to find out how? You may come handy someday. Now, David Hogan has spent over 40 years helping unreached people groups in Mexico. And in fact...
Unreached people? Are there any unreached people in Mexico? I would doubt it.
In fact, you were told the exact city you were to go to, region you were to go to. How'd that happen?
Angel of the Lord came.
This reenactment is my new favorite thing.
There was I had a vision. 360, like an IMAX. And I was showing a mountain range. And then it was up to me to find it.
Well, you found it.
I found it.
You got there.
I made it.
And you got shocked because they were very different than the people you were used to. I mean, witch doctor.
This guy looks like Ron Swanson's gross brother.
And demon worshippers, and you had no paradigm for that.
No, sir. There's not. Not where I come from, here in America, Louisiana. It's not there.
Well, tell me, what is, I have an idea. Most people, if they weren't called and they bumped into that, their first exposure, they would quit.
Someone posted a Wikipedia page on unreached people. In Christianity, an unreached people group refers to an ethnic group without an indigenous self-propagating Christian church movement. I thought they meant, like, people who have not been contacted by the outside world, not just groups that are non-Christian. I would still find that, I would think that would be pretty rare in Mexico, considering how popular Catholicism is in Latin America, but whatever.
What did you do?
Jesus asked me to go. That's what I did. There's your answer.
Look at these people like, yeah, that sounds reasonable. Yep. The creator of the universe told this white guy to go and spread the message in Mexico. That makes sense. I really wish people were a little less, credulous in regard to this kind of thing.
He asked me if I'd do it. So the answer is yes.
So you stuck it out, but what did you do? How did you pray? What did you do about, I mean, what do you, for instance, let me give you an example. He's talking to a witch doctor, and before his very eyes, now you most of you don't have a clue about what I'm ready to tell you. It's never even crossed your radar. What did he turn into?
First time it was a bat.
No! No. That's probably pretty insensitive. I'm gonna be real with you. Oh no. Oh. This is awful. This is awful.
Actually saw him, and
there was a man.
Yeah.
Turned a flashlight on to himself and went into a creature.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what it looked like. Yep, this really definitely must have happened. For real.
I saw that with my eyes, yes, sir.
He's like Man-Bat.
How did you get it into your head you wanted to raise the dead?
All right, that's a fair question. Thanks. I was, all right, I took the Bible apart, put it in notebooks where I could understand it. Each man had his own notebook. Each section of God's Bible had its own notebook. I made a list of the miracles of the men's prayer life, the fasting, their marriages, their children, everything, how God responded to them and how they approached God. And I chose out of the whole list of all the miracles down through the historical events of the Bible, I chose dead raising. And my wife asked me to, let's start lower. Headaches, different things. But I'm not that kind of human being. If God can do it, let's do it.
Well, stop being so credulous. And again, I'm not even talking about your like religious beliefs in regard to being a Christian. If you want to be a Christian, fine. That's like your right. But stop believing every grifter who comes to you and says they've done a ridiculous thing just because they say God let them do it. Like, even if you believe in God, why do you think this person is not lying to you about what happened to them and what they've done through God? There's specific commandments about this, about bearing false testimony and making sure that people aren't taking the Lord's name in vain by claiming that, like, God let me do this miraculous thing. You know? The Bible warns you about people like this. Stop falling for grifters who use your faith against you.
David, how long did you contend for raising the dead before you saw your first dead person come?
All right, there you go. That was a 4-year fight with these witch doctors. It got really bumpy for me. I lost more than I gained. during this time. And then I went out to a village, normal day for me, get up, pray 3 or 4 hours, seek God, load up my 4-wheel drive, go out to the mountain, and I get out of my truck, and this man asks me, David,
would you please come and pray
would you
for
please
my son?
come and pray for my son? And
He's sick.
what's the matter? Well, he's
unstable.
sick. So I walk with him through the woods. I mean, you got to understand, in my world, the 25 or 30 pastors were walking.
Why, like, I understand that they're working on a limited budget, but could they not just, like, go out to the actual woods and film? Did they need to just darken a room and fill it with some plastic plants and pretend it's the forest?
Through the jungle, the smell, it's awesome to me. Whereas other people
Ooh,
would
they got
find it offensive,
B-roll.
I find it great. And I started hearing this lady screaming, and we went right.
I do agree, though. They were very generous in casting this guy as this actor. This actor looks, you know, like he could be he's, you know, if you're into this, an attractive guy. He's got sort of a low-rent Kurt Russell thing going on.
Right to that hut. I get there, and
It
it's a
sure is a hut.
bamboo-walled house,
Made of
dirt
bamboo.
floor, grass roof.
You know, all the bamboo that you find in Mexico.
Look me right in the.
Does bamboo grow in Mexico? Bamboo, Mexico. Are there wild bamboo? We got Mexican weeping bamboo. Maybe I learned something new today. Neat. I didn't know that. Learn something new every day.
Face, pointed his finger in my face. My son is dead, now you do something about that. Well, look, I'm an 8th generation preacher. My family's not new to this, but nobody's ever been asked that question. So I went in the hut, followed him, and when I get in there, it's not like, there's not angels, there's not awesome. There's a little dead boy with a mama holding him screaming. There's black magic warlocks. There's spiritist healers. They're my enemy. They don't.
Wait, how do you know it wasn't the witch doctors, though? I mean, they were preying on him with their, like, voodoo spells or whatever. I know it's not voodoo. Voodoo is a specific thing. But, like, their, you know, whatever magic, traditional, like, medicine thing that they were doing. Why do you assume it was your thing that worked?
They don't love Jesus, and they hate me. I turn around, look at the mom. She backs away from her son. He's a 9-year-old boy. He's been dead for 5 hours. I kneel down over this boy. I've never seen it before. I don't know how to go about it. I know that Jesus, Elijah, all these guys raised the dead, but I have no experience at all. I just have biblical research for that. I laid my hands on this boy, tried to find a heartbeat, put my ear down, normal pressure points. He's gone. He's still pigment in his skin. His coloration is gone. Started praying, prayed in tongues first, because that seems like the best answer.
Why? Why would that be the best answer instead of trying to get them to a doctor? You know, the people who actually study medicine and know how to help individuals who are suffering from illnesses.
It didn't work. Prayed in English, of course that's gonna work. Didn't work. Prayed in Spanish. That didn't work either. Then I went into Indian, and then I just started weeping and crying, asking God for mercy, because it was really hot in there, probably 115 degrees inside the hut.
Yes, Mama and Daddy.
Probably an hour of prayer,
They need
and
help.
just all of a sudden, there was a heartbeat in the little boy's arm. I had a hold of his pressure point.
So you sat there for an hour until the kid naturally got better on his own, and then you claimed victory, despite the fact that there had been other people who were witch doctors, whatever that means. I'd imagine they would probably describe themselves more as traditional medicine men. They also were there, but you claimed victory For what reason? On what are you basing the fact that you did that? Or God did that? Seems like you just were in the room when he got better, and then you're like, I did this. I win.
And I felt a thump, and then it stopped. But what was the most important to me, which is all important, I had a little T-shirt on. I saw that little T-shirt bounce. And when I did,
what? You don't see people's chest move when their hearts beat. What?
It really freaked me out. And I look up, and the dad sitting there, he had seen also the little T-shirt bounce.
What?
And
I've made a terrible mistake in assuming this story happened at all. He might just be making this all up. Maybe he never went to Mexico. Who knows?
I said, did you see that? He said, yes. I said, it works.
Yes.
It works. It actually works to trust heaven and believe the name of Jesus. In about probably 3 minutes, maybe 5, on and off heartbeat, and finally it got steady and strong, and then his coloration came, then he got flexible again, and then his eyes opened, and he's raised from the dead.
What a fantastic child actor.
If you have the faith to raise someone from the dead, you have the faith for any miracle in the Bible. Anything, am I right?
I believe that's right, sir.
Anything in the Bible. I want to learn how he prayed for the dead, but I also want to hear about some of these amazing creative miracles that are happening when he prays. Be right back.
This is ridiculous.
This is Sid Roth. Welcome to my world, where it's naturally supernatural. If you've been blessed by this show, please subscribe.
Does this guy, like, do just Christianity stuff, or is it, like, all sorts of supernatural stuff that he promotes? Guar Stoneskin. Oh, hey! How you doing? I think I know who this is. Thank you for continuing your subscription. Lucas Dawn. Just Jesus stuff. Oh, that's a shame. I was hoping that it would be all kinds of stuff, but yeah, we'll add them to the list of people to watch regularly.
Then click the bell so you won't miss a single episode of It's Supernatural. Isn't that amazing? People that have literally... tell me about that one older woman that died.
Yeah.
Alright, that's gonna be it for them for today, though. I can only deal with so much of the bullshit. What else we got? Let's watch a couple Karen freakouts.
Taxes, I pay for this park, and I don't like to see people wrecking it.
We're not wrecking it. There's
We saw this one. Did you and Jake order any of those Christian buckets? I don't know what you mean. We saw that one.
And I'll move. People just won't let you be. This is ridiculous.
That was probably 45 minutes of having it on. It's the first time I've worn one. I am disoriented.
Saw that one.
Guys. Sam, are you okay? Sam, are you okay?
No, she won't leave, Joe.
What's the problem now? What's the problem now?
The problem is the videos. You need to either stop recording them and posting them, or you need to pay me for posting them.
I'm not paying.
This was from someone who was posting videos because this Karen kept coming in without a mask. Or it was like a mask with a hole in it or something. And he was posting videos about it, and she got mad about the videos. Pretty funny.
I don't get paid. I'm not gonna pay you. Well, you need to stop coming in here. If you want to keep getting recorded, I'm gonna keep recording you. Do you understand me? I'm recording right now.
My boyfriend to be here to take care of this
your boyfriend, bring your boy. Tell your boyfriend.
I'm shaking and so furious right now after talking to my doctor. I had just a phone visit because I was wanting to get a prescription for hydroxychloroquine just in case.
Oh,
Not
God.
now, but just
Please don't listen to Donald Trump when he talks about that shit. Do not take medication that's not going to help you with the coronavirus. Bad idea.
in case, I wanted to make sure that he was okay with prescribing that. And, you know, I just discovered my doctor to be suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, and
Oh no, your doctor who went to medical school disagreed with the dumb shit president? What a shock.
he literally said that the president is crazy and that he's being irresponsible with people's lives. And believe me, I gave him a dose of my outrage. And
Why do you believe the president, who has no medical knowledge, over a doctor? I don't even care if it's Trump or Obama. I don't give a fuck. You trust a doctor for medical advice over a politician every time.
tried to share some actual facts with him, but you know how that works with people who are under the Trump derangement syndrome virus, and under the spell. So I'm sorry,
You guys got mad when Obama wore a tan suit. Are we going to talk about whatever derangement syndrome?
very, very upset right now, but I really think that this needs to get out there, that we have doctors all over this country that are denying us the right to try when we have the legal right to try.
You do not have the legal right to get whatever prescription drug you want at any point. That's why it needs a prescription instead of being an off-the-shelf drug. This entitled white lady needs to shut up. Can you see this fucking house, too? Looks like a nice house.
So, I don't know who I'm talking to. President Trump or the Justice Department, or, you know, certainly nobody in my state will hear me. I'm in Washington State in Seattle. Anyways, more shall be revealed.
If it was you,
Stop.
if it was you being killed,
Go off, Chris.
how would you want others to react? Would you want them to say something about you being killed?
How about I came to where something you were enjoying and I harassed you?
If I was acting violently against another
This isn't
police
violently. It's a
officer,
recreation sport. Are you that dumb-witted to fucking know?
killing somebody else is not a sport.
How do you even know that we're killing? How many people out here take a picture and release it?
You're still okay. That's even worse. You're putting.
It's no different than using Tinder. You catch somebody and you.
How would you feel about this being dragged into the water with a hook through your lip?
I dragged them out of the water, not into the water.
Is she mad that they're fishing? She's mad about fishing at the pier. Like, I'm not a fan of fishing just because I think it's boring. And I could understand if you're a vegan or something, not liking the idea of fishing for whatever reason, that's fine. But, like, you can't stop other people from doing things that they want to do that aren't illegal, right? There would be no point. Like, if you're a vegan, by all means, like, advocate for, you know, meat alternatives and animal welfare and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But, like, going up to people who are fishing and talking about how you don't like it, not a great idea. It's just gonna end badly for everyone.
Lungs collapse when they leave water. When you throw them back in, they die.
They don't die.
They're not flying fish. They're not meant to jump out of the water with
Do you
hooks
know
in their
anything
mouths and
about
come up
marine
here for
biology?
vacation.
Do you know? Yes, I do.
Oh, so it's good and natural for them to be hurt.
How many fish die
like
from
that.
being released?
Whether or not they
Tell me,
die when they're
shut the
released,
fuck
they're
up.
still...
How many...
Okay.
No, you see, you're already encroaching on everyone having a great night for Father's Day.
You're encroaching on somebody else's life.
I'm encroaching...
Oh god, it's Father's Day too. Look, I don't like fishing, but if I see a bunch of people having a good time fishing, what am I gonna do about it? Who cares?
Encroaching on public fucking domain.
The entire Earth is public, okay?
No, it's not. Oh, you're one of them.
One of them.
You're one of them. The whole Earth is public domain. The Earth is not public domain.
Okay, you do not need to kill fish to survive. I'm sorry, but you don't.
They're not. They're doing catch and release. If you want to have an argument about whether or not, like, it stresses the fish out, sure it does, but that's gonna come down to whether or not you feel that fish are conscious enough for that to, like, be something to take into account. Some people don't. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I'm not gonna be able to stop them or convince them, right? So, what's the point of having a, stupid argument in public about it? It's just fruitless. There's no point.
You don't need to be here having this conversation with me.
If you're gonna kill somebody else, I do need to.
I'm killing an animal which I have a license that allows me to go ahead and recreational fish.
I'm not concerned with what the law says you have the right to do.
Well, the law says I have the right, and technically you are harassing me and harassing all these people around here.
You're speaking up on behalf of somebody who has no voice, somebody who values their life.
Why don't you take your argument to something that actually fucking matters?
This may not matter to you, but it's not about you, and it's not even about us.
It's not about you. You're encroaching on everyone's Father's Day. Just move along.
You're encroaching on...
Move the card. Move the fucking card. You understand this? Move the card. Who are you gonna show? The president? Who are you gonna fucking show? Who are you gonna show?
You got an ugly fucking lip. Your lip fucking ugly. Your lip spoiled, bitch. Suck your mother. Ugly shit. Go move that fucking piece of shit. You're gonna wait.
And you're recording me, you piece of shit. You shit. You
go suck your mama. Big pussy girl. Go big pussy girl. You're a piece of shit. Your mother. You ever see this blood clot or this little ugly looking piece of shit? Your lip, see a big pussy girl. You do surgery, your lip spoil. Bumbucker, go suck your mother.
This guy's insult game is on fucking point.
You're sick fuck. You know what? Alright. You're up on coke. Big pussy girl. You're on coke. You're on coke. We're better than you. Piece of shit. Fucking idiot. You got right what? Go suck your mama. You let me record everything, you know. This blood clot bitch up on coke. A coke she taking. She have it up on coke. I'd have been make the delivery and done do me I don't got me yet. And she come out calling me like black. You look a sick fuck. I gives a fuck. Make him come. Calling no make him come. Sick fuck. Yeah? You sick fuck. Ugly bitch. You did plastic surgery and it fucked you up. Sick fuck. I mean, if this girl didn't came out of the car, I've been done. I just came here, like, not even 2 minutes. She's sick. I never rude to nobody. And this fucking...
Fucking Christ! Hurry up!
Oh god, some lady's mad and looks like the McDonald's drive-thru. Have you guys noticed, and I'm not being a Karen about this, it's fine, I understand there's probably reasons for this. It feels like McDonald's drive-thru wait times are longer than they used to be. I don't know if they're just making more of the food fresh or whatever, which is fine, but seems like something I've noticed as my life has gone on. It feels like the drive-thru wait times at McDonald's have lengthened.
It's not us. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not us.
I don't even mean just, like, after COVID. I'm talking, like, in the past. I haven't even gone to an actual McDonald's in person. I've been using DoorDash in quite a while. I'm just talking about, like, in the past couple of years. I don't know. Maybe I just moved to an area with a McDonald's with slower times. I don't know. Oh, they make the beef patties to order? Yeah, they definitely didn't used to. I used to work at a McDonald's in high school. They used to make what they called reg meat, which is the meat that's on the regular burgers, and they just put it in a drawer. Same with quarter patties, which is the stuff that's on the quarter pounders. I guess they make them to order now. That's good. Probably tastes better.
Hurry up, please! Please, please, please! Oh, did you just say the N-word? No, I did not say the N-word! No, I did not say the N-word! Yes, you did. Look, I just want a hamburger! I'm so fucking hungry! Please, hurry up! I'm not saying the N-word. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about the N-word.
Wait, is it that you didn't say it, or you're sorry? Because you know what? I've been pretty hungry in my life. Never have I been so hungry it made me resort to racial slurs. Those things don't really correlate. This isn't... I've never seen the Snickers commercial where they're like, oh, you're not you when you're hungry, and then it's just like a bunch of racial slurs. No, no one gets so hangry it makes them racist. You were racist already, Karen.
I'm really sorry about the N-word. I just can't help myself. I'm tired.
I can't... Okay, maybe try and help yourself, you racist shit. Get back in your car and shut your mouth.
It's a long line, you guys.
It's just me. It's just me. There's no one.
Honestly, if I were the manager at McDonald's, when she got up to the window, we'd be like, sorry, we don't serve people who use racial slurs in our line. Go to Burger King.
So this guy is giving me problems because I asked him to close the gate. I made a comment because the gate was open. He wanted to open his miserable mouth with his miserable girlfriend. Fucking New Jack's in this dog park that doesn't know the rules. By the way, I have followers on Instagram. What do you have? What do you have?
Oh my god, is she bragging about how many followers she has on Instagram while bothering this person?
Fucking 8 friends. I could tell. Fucking no social skills. Miserable. Miserable. Miserable.
That cute top is wasted on her.
Nice pants.
That's right, capitalistic propaganda.
Thank you.
Thank you to more Jellin5 for following. Welcome to the stream.
Guys, he's harassing me. He is harassing me. Look at him. He's harassing me. Look at this guy taking video.
Just stop it.
Look at him. I'm here with my handicapped dog, and he's harassing me.
Wait, she's crazy.
Look at him.
Are you kidding me? She was recording us.
Oh, please.
Wait, was she not recording us just now? Was she not recording us?
I said, guys.
Jindo, Shiba.
Now look at him. You know, New Jack. People who've never been to the dog park. Yeah. I've been coming here for years, honey. Okay? People are so rude. Yeah. It's their pride that's keeping them here.
What's wrong?
What kind of dog is yours?
Is that an Australian shadow dog? I'm trying to. Exactly.
Wait, do you even know what happened?
A new rescue.
I know her. She's a dear friend of mine. And she tells me something. I believe it.
I know, but
It's about my dog running out in the gate. My intention was okay. He took it too far. I know this isn't the first time. He's got issues. I know that, but to put your camera up on me when everyone knows that you're being rude.
Alright, calm down, lady. Let's do another sovereign citizen. This is just a short one. Right to travel protest at the DMV.
Letting you are. I have the freedom to speak to you. That's my First Amendment right. Okay.
Let him talk.
You're lying to people. You're lying to people.
Hey, I need you to send it to me because I didn't have a court.
Oh, that's okay. No, it's a protest. Yeah, no individual should even notice the loss of his or her right, let alone before signing the license, which is a contract. Nor will the citizen given any opportunity to defend against the loss of his or her right to travel by automobile on the highways or in an ordinary course of life and business. This amounts to an arbitrary deprivation of liberty. You have the right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. No government can deprive you of these things. And they're doing it to us every day. Please step up, come together, and unite against the real problem, the government. They're all breaking us apart, segregating us, taking our money. It's sick. We all need to come together and get rid of this problem. Because they're taking your money from you, and they don't take it.
He's misinterpreting a Supreme Court decision. I believe it was even just a state Supreme Court decision. It was in the 1930 or so. I forget the actual case name. But it was a case in which driver's licenses were still a relatively new concept because automobiles were not super common in the public. And it was this case where a sheriff of a county was requiring driver's licenses to go on the roads. However, Jouster's in with 5 bits. Hi, Hannah. How are you today? I'm doing well. However, the sheriff was, again, arbitrarily, and you may have heard in this decision the word arbitrarily used, he was arbitrarily deciding who could and could not get a driver's license. So he was literally being like, oh, that's Jeffrey. I know Jeffrey. I trust him. Here, you can have a driver's license. Oh, there's Carl. I don't like Carl. Carl, you can't have a driver's license, so you can't drive on public roads. So the court found that, well, you cannot create arbitrary distinctions for who can drive on the public roadways. You can, however, create standardized testing that is a bar that needs to be passed in order to allow one to drive on the roads. So states and counties, although obviously within the United States it's done by the state at this point, you can get a driver's license and require that to go on public roads. It just can't be arbitrary. You can't decide, I'm not giving you a license because you're a woman or because you're black or whatever reason, right? It just has to be a standardized skill test that anyone can theoretically take and pass if they have the ability. So he's completely misrepresenting this case law, as all sovereign citizens tend to do.
Driver's licenses, plates, stickers, all this money.
Fines and fees.
It's bullshit. All of it's bullshit. As long as you're not using your vehicle for business, profit, or compensation, you do not need a license. Period. They're lying to you.
Let this man talk.
That's it.
There's a freedom to protest.
Right to travel. We all have the right to travel by automobile on public roadways. Sir, no cell phones in here. Look it up. Put it down.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Oh boy. What else do we have? Like what the lady did with marriage licenses? Yeah. Kind of. Two days ago, 4 days ago. Oh god, these are long. Atlantis Rising. Is this from Globebusters? These are a bunch of crazy people who think that the Earth is flat, and they do things that they think proves this to be the case, although they are always wrong. shockingly enough. So let's see what this video called Atlantis Rising is about.
We've all heard of Alfred Wegener's 1912 theory of Pangea, or continental drift, which, though rejected by the scientific community until the 1950s, is now the basis of the theory of plate tectonics.
Yeah, because we found new evidence and it turned out to be the case. Yes, we live on a planet that has plate tectonics. I imagine everyone remembers this from school. This is like elementary school shit. Basically, there are different plates that make up the Earth. It's done up into sections, and when these plates shift, it can cause things called earthquakes, but also they just do slowly move over time, and it causes the continents to slowly change positions on the Earth over time. There is a ton of evidence for this. It's really not something... I don't even know why they would need to disprove plate tectonics for a flat Earth, but I guess they're gonna die on that hill. Oh, hills, by the way, sometimes are created by plate tectonics. So...
We've also all played square pegs as a child, where we found out the hard way. Although a diamond is pretty close to a square, a diamond is not a square. The same problem arises when we look at Pangea. That is close, but that is not a perfect fit.
Yeah, but the shapes have changed slightly over time too, due to erosion and a myriad of other factors. It doesn't literally mean that the coastline hasn't changed at all in the past however many millions of years it's been since Pangea. My goodness. Yeah, again, coastlines change due to erosion. It's a very well understood concept. Water and other factors will create friction on surfaces and wear them away over time. There can also be other issues that happen with land masses that change them over time. That's kind of part of plate tectonics. Like, features on the surface of the planet can change due to a bunch of different factors, but plate tectonics can come into play there too. Like, imagine if I... Do I have scissors in here? I don't think I do. What's this? Is this a piece of paper I can use? What's this? It's a manual for something. I'll just use the back cover of this. Okay, so take this piece of paper, right? I can rip it in half. And then, even if I try and put it back together, it's not going to come back exactly. But also imagine over millions of years there's erosion. And some of it gets chipped away, some of the features changed, new sediment deposits come and actually might add things over time. And then the same thing happens over here over the same period of time, right? So even though these pieces were once together, and there are certain points where you can see where they fit together quite well, because of the erosion, the pieces don't match like they're a puzzle exactly. That's not what we know about... plate tectonics is not based upon the fact that the continents fit perfectly together. There are many observations that show us that plate tectonics and Pangea are facts of our physical Earth. Dude Spanking Dudes with a bit says, love how my dad crashed my mom's car getting me food, and then my mom got pissed at my dad and me, since she says something along the lines, this wouldn't happen if he wouldn't have gotten you food. Last time I ate was at 2:30. It's 2 minutes to 7, so thanks, I guess. everything is my fault. She won't even let me call Uber Eats, and I don't know where my bread is since my mom hides it. Oh, your parents sound awful. No offense, but...
But when we start to look under the Atlantic Ocean, at the shapes of the Challenger Ridge, Connecting Ridge, and Dolphin Ridge, a remarkable thing happens.
Anything but inspect this temple of capitalism?
Railcast, thank you for raiding. Appreciate that. Do they not understand that they're literally just, like, outlining currents that are created by the shape of the continents that they're off the coast of? Like, yeah, land masses affect water around them. That's how water works.
While historians and archaeologists carry on pretending that Atlantis was just a worldwide mythological place or legend,
It was an allegory that someone told. I'm gonna have to look this up. Atlantis. It was like Plato or something like that. The island of Atlantis is a fictional island mentioned in an allegory on the hubris of nations in Plato's works. Timaeus and Critias, where it represents the antagonist naval power that besieges ancient Athens, the pseudo-historical embodiment of Plato's ideal state in the Republic. This would be like doing a conspiracy where you're listening to Plato's allegory of the cave. I don't know if you've heard of Plato's allegory of the cave, but it's like a fundamental, like, thing you learn in philosophy. It's basically told as such. Imagine that you are chained to a wall in a cave. Behind you is a flickering fire, and behind that, or between that and the fire, are people, you know, carrying a myriad of shapes. And you're looking at this wall, and you can only see the shadows cast on the wall. Now, to you, that's all you've ever known is that wall, and to you, that is reality. It's basically a way of showing the limits of our own cognition and how we have blinders on in all of our own ways. It's an allegory, but this would be like if someone made a video where they're like, alright folks, Plato told us about this fucking cave, alright? We got some people chained up in a cave looking at shadows all day. It's time to go liberate these fuckers in a cave. Like, no, you've missed the entire point. It's an allegory. He's not literally saying these things are real. He's using them to illustrate points. I swear, Plato would be spinning in his fucking grave.
It doesn't take more than a quick comparison of Plato's Atlantis, brought down by Solon, and this sunken landmass in the Atlantic Ocean to question why they can't see the blaringly obvious. In Solon's account of the Atlantic island, it was first settled by a godlike man named Poseidon. We call him the god of the sea, but never question why he is always depicted holding a trident or a farming pitchfork, or why he's riding horses instead of dolphins.
Let's take a look, shall we? Why is Poseidon depicted with the trident? The trident is associated with the sea god Poseidon and his Roman counterpart Neptune. Poseidon, as well as being a god of the sea, was also known as the Earth Shaker, believed to cause earthquakes. Some commenters have extrapolated that the god would have used the trident to cause them, possibly by striking the earth. Still, I would like some cultural meaning. The trident of Poseidon and his Roman equivalent Neptune has been their traditional divine attributed feature in many ancient depictions. Poseidon's trident was crafted by the Cyclopses. According to the second and third Vatican mythographer, Neptune's trident symbolizes the three properties of water: liquidity, fecundity, don't know what that is, and drinkability. The trident of Neptune was viewed by Roman scholar Marcus Severus Honoritus as a three-pronged because the sea is said to be a third part of the world, or because there are three kinds of waters: seas, streams, and rivers. Don't tell him about lakes. Anyway, so there are a myriad of theories, but
Solon claimed that a great nation power came...
Spearfishing? Are tridents used often in spearfishing? That's what I was expecting the answer to be, but I didn't see anything about it, so...
...forth out of the Atlantic Ocean, and that back in those days, the Atlantic was still navigable by ship, hinting that in his time it was not, and that there was an island situated in front of the straits called the Pillars of Heracles, which we now call the Straits of Gibraltar. This island was larger than Libya and Asia put together. It was the way to other islands, and from the islands you might pass through the whole of the...
Surely you must understand that to the Greeks, the Atlantic Ocean would be this, like, insane, daunting task to sail through, right? Because in their own seas closer to home, they could have a bearing and be close to civilization. But when you get out into the Atlantic Ocean with the kind of boats that the Greeks used, it would be incredibly difficult to keep yourself from sinking. Their ships just did not have the capability to go out into open ocean like that in the Atlantic and be safe for long periods of time. They didn't have the naval technology. So I'd imagine the Atlantic was sort of a mysterious sea to them, you know? It was a sea full of danger and treachery, which is why you get, you know, myths about Poseidon and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Opposite continent which surrounded the true ocean, claiming the Mediterranean Sea within the Strait of Heracles is only a harbor, having a narrow entrance, but the other is a real sea, and the surrounding land may be most truly called a continent, showing Solon had knowledge of the Americas on the other side of the Atlantic already.
No! What? No!
In 630 BC. Solon claimed the Atlantean Empire not only ruled its own island continent, but also as far as Libya, Europe, Egypt, and Tyrrhenia, which is central Italy. Pretty specific geography for a myth. And on the side toward the sea, and in the center of the whole island, there was a plain which is said to have been the fairest of all plains, very fertile, just as we see sunken beneath the ocean today.
Are you saying that because there's flat ground at the bottom of the sea? I would imagine the pressure would have something to do with that.
Solon described the plain. It was rectangular, and for the most part straight and oblong.
That's not rectangular. That's like a generic tube shape.
And what it wanted of the straight line followed the line of the circular ditch. The depth and width and length of this ditch were incredible, and gave the impression that such a work, in addition to so many other works, could hardly have been wrought by the hand of man. It received the streams which came down from the mountains from above, meaning from the north, and straight canals were cut into the plain, and by them they brought down the wood from the mountains to the city.
Yeah, Guy, it's part of a fiction they were writing. It would be like, imagine if, I don't know, 2,000 years from now, 5,000 years from now, whatever, there exists only one copy of the Lord of the Rings, or the Silmarillion, or whatever the heck it is, the appendix, basically, that just talks about, you know, the history of Middle-earth, and they go, this is Look at how detailed this story is. It must be real. Middle Earth was real. We must find where Mordor was. Like, no, man. It's just a fiction. It's a well-written fiction. When you write fictional worlds, that's like part of it, you know?
The whole country was described as being very lofty and precipitous on the sides of the sea.
How does Atlantis relate to the flat Earth? I have no idea. I don't know why they're talking about it.
But the country immediately about and surrounding the city was a level plain, itself surrounded by mountains which descended toward the sea. Atlantis is smooth and even, but of an oblong shape, and the whole region of the island to the south is sheltered from the northern mountains. And in the center of the capital island, there was a race course of a stadium in width and length, allowed to extend all around the island for horses to race in.
Okay, the reason Poseidon is shown with horses is because people used horses. Are you serious? It's because that's what people used to use carriages. Were horses. Ugh.
But afterward, there occurred violent earthquakes and floods, and in a single day and night of rain, all your warlike men in a body sunk into the earth, and the island of Atlantis in a like manner disappeared and was sunk beneath the sea. And that is the reason why the sea in those parts was so impassable and impenetrable in Solon's time, because there was such a quantity of shallow mud in the way, and this was caused by the subsidence of the island.
No, it's because it was the Atlantic Ocean, and they did not have the naval capability of getting that far from the shore with the technology they had.
Back in 2011, researchers believe they found the...
Captain Rachel says also Poseidon was the god of horses. When Poseidon desired Demeter, she asked Poseidon to create the world's most beautiful animal in an attempt to cool off his advances. As a result, Poseidon created the first horse and also became the god of horses. It's interesting, I didn't know that.
The lost city of Atlantis in the mud flats of Alicante, southern Spain.
Missed it by that much.
A dozen PhDs and $2 million in research grants between you, and not one of you morons bothered to read the source of the legend or read Donnelly's Atlantis? No, by all means, let us do it for you, for free.
God, these people have such a hate boner for people with actual education. The insecurity is palpable.
The truth is, by the 1880s, deep-sea sonar had already been taken of the Atlantis ocean floor by
Atlantic Ocean,
the U.S. Dolphin, German Gazelle, and British Hydra, Porcupine, and Challenger, resulting in the revelation of a great elevation reaching from a point on the coast of the British Islands southwardly to the coast of South America at
Jouster Zen with 5 bits. Why, Hannah, why are you a hurricane? Not enough subscriptions, that's why. Yep.
Cape Orange.
Much like Poseidon, sate me, and the danger will be over.
And then east to Africa. Just as Solon said, due west of the Straits of Gibraltar or Heracles, we find the last remnants of Atlantis today.
No, you have no evidence of that.
The Azores Islands, which are the very tops of the sunken northern Atlantis mountains.
What evidence do you have that that's the case?
Described by Solon on what is known now as Dolphin Ridge, aka Atlantis. Solon described the white, black, and red stones they quarried and built with, and those same red and white stones are still found on the black lava rocks of the
Impotent with 100 bits. You're more of a typhoon. Okay.
The powers that be have known about Atlantis for at least 140 years, but have been keeping it a secret from the general public. Stay tuned for part.
This is like the kind of erosion I'm talking about in regard to the coastlines changing, by the way. Water can fuck a lot of shit up over millions of years. Very stupid. Logarth, thank you for subscribing. Hurricane Hannah now blowing over Trump's mighty border wall. Funny. Let's see. Oh. Oh. Very strong. That's hilarious.
Undoubtedly be a controversial video, not because of its contents per se, but by the reaction it may elicit in some sectors of the left. There exists a trend, mostly within the white Western left, to deride or outright dismiss many socialist experiments, either by solely focusing on and magnifying their errors, or by explaining away their triumphs. This, being a trend of white Western leftists, is simply based on my own observation. I have never seen it from black and brown comrades in the third world, and only rarely see it from black and brown comrades in the first. Maybe that's more of a commentary on leftist organizations in the West than anything else, but I digress. Before I start, let me first define what I mean. Left-wing anti-communism is a trend we see that simply dislikes and disregards almost every successful socialist experiment to have ever existed. Now, we can debate whether they were the true pure socialism trademark that the pure socialists have in their minds or not. That isn't the point. These were nonetheless experiments with no former grand blueprint or guide that attempted to organize society along lines different to capitalism. They were successful, in my opinion, in doing so, and genuinely stood as the greatest and most long-standing threat to global capitalism to this day. Even their memory stirs fear in the hearts of the ruling class, and that's why, to them, they must be demonized at every turn.
This sounds very tanky-ish to me. Ugh.
However, the left-wing anti-communists will not only reject these experiments, or damn them as the monstrosities that perverted some pure...
Yeah, the Soviet Union ended up being fucking awful. Look, I'm all for, like, socialism and getting rid of, like, the shitty system we currently have that puts people like Jeff Bezos at the top, but you don't need to simp for the Soviet Union in order to advocate for better economic policy, right? Jesus. Simpotent sent a link. Oh, God. I can't play this. I'll get DMCA'd.
Or socialism they've dreamt up, but in some cases claim that we don't have anything to learn from them, either. This trend is almost fully supported by the quote-unquote approved, meaning controlled opposition, leftist academics and writers that exist. The Noam Chomskys.
You
and the
don't
George
have to
Orwells.
be controlled opposition in order to be like, hey, we should advocate for socialist policies while also looking at the mistakes that the USSR made that allowed an autocrat like Stalin to get in charge and murder millions of people. Like, that's a thing you need to address.
Of the world. Not only this, but the trend is fully supported by the capitalist establishment, with glowing reviews of books published, and runs and reruns of the books either by the CIAs or Harvards of the respective countries. Now, where do you see this? Am I making this up? No, of course not. If you've read enough literature on the Bolshevik Revolution, for example, you'd quickly notice the pattern of lionizing the first few years of the revolution up until maybe 1922 or 23, and then afterwards, severe condemnation. A lot of this mixed with denouncements of Stalinist dictatorship, or Stalinist bureaucracy, or a Stalinist soap dispenser that doesn't work all that well.
Stalin murdered millions of people. You can be a leftist and recognize the horror that was Stalinist Russia. My goodness.
This trend very easily fits with the left-wing anti-communist paradigm, as it glorifies the weakest, most fragmented, and most uncertain time period in Soviet history, in the guise of supporting worker democracy, which, by the way, didn't magically evaporate after 1923. This followed along with an absolute lack of nuance when it comes to what had to be done after those first few years of severe lack of effective organization. Had the revolution failed by 1923, ironically, by the very steps they wished the revolution would take instead, they'd be praising it to the heavens to this day. But no, the revolution did not fail then, and had to be consolidated. It had to build up a strong army to protect it from foreign invasion. It had to build up a strong internal security apparatus in order to protect itself from sabotage. It had...
Question, what about the gulags? Gulags? What about the gulags?
Had to ration due to sanctions. It had to maximize living standards for everyone equally instead of a small clique at the top, like under capitalism, and so left something to be desired. Its failure was the fact that it succeeded in the eyes of the left-wing anti-communists. This does not mean, by the way, that I fully agree or disagree with the decisions taken by the Soviets in that crucial early period or afterwards, either. What it does mean is that now we have a tangible tradition of what could be done, its consequences, and from that, all the lessons that could be learned. The difference, though, is that these left-wing anti-communists, in all their arrogance, throw out blanket statements of they should have done this or they should have done that, as if the situation were that easy. Lenin and the Bolsheviks were not stupid, and nor were they some strange...
I'm gonna go ahead and say the secret police taking anyone that disagreed with what the people in power were doing and murdering them shouldn't have done that. That seems like a pretty simple one.
Conception of bourgeois morality as evil. They were highly intelligent, motivated revolutionaries who...
Like, I absolutely want to raise class consciousness and overturn the prevailing economic system in this country that has hurt so many people while putting people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk at the top with more money than they could spend in 1,000 lifetimes. But I wouldn't instate secret police in order to carry that out, right? What you need to do is change what the people in the society want so they can vote for things, as opposed to becoming an autocrat, as opposed to becoming a dictator that decides everything for everyone. Not great. Turns out real bad for people, as it turns out.
Along with the workers and peasants, attempted to build something never before seen on Earth, in the most trying of circumstances. If this does not absolve them, then I'll sit back and await the eternal wisdom of these new comrades to...
It does not absolve them of their wrongdoing. The ends do not justify the means. You don't get to say, well, we murdered millions of people, but we were trying to create a utopia. Like, okay. And? Did you need to murder millions of people to make your utopia? No. No bueno.
Establish the perfect revolution with its perfect socialism. Interesting that the groups that can't organize a reading circle think they're capable of this. A connected point is, this is an incredibly common phenomenon with left-wing anti-communists, the lionization of every revolution that doesn't succeed. The reason this happens is, because of those revolutions failing, they never had to contend with actually attempting to build a stable and prosperous socialism. If they weren't immediately crushed, they would have had to deal with every other hardship, both material and theoretical, that the socialist experiments had to deal with, and then they quickly would have been relegated to that same category, the category of every other Stalinist bureaucracy they deride to this day. Logically, since these left-wing anti-communists seem to denounce every gain and loss of the former socialist experiments, there must be some substance to their criticism. They clearly paint themselves as knowing better.
You could talk about the achievements of communism. The only reason the U.S. won the space race is because we got to the moon first. Like, the USSR was fucking killing it in regard to space stuff, putting up Sputnik, putting up Gagarin, putting the first woman into space, like all sorts of cool shit. They were able to do all sorts of industrial stuff that was cool. Like, it was off the backs of hurting a lot of people, which in the end is the entire point of a socialist or communist system. You want the workers to be able to benefit. If the workers end up suffering, then the system has failed. Period.
They should have done this, they should have done that, it abounds in their rhetoric. If that's the case, where are their revolutions? Where are their contributions to Marxist theory? Where are their organizations? You have to remember, when it comes to our leftist friends criticizing these movements, something that's always missing is nuance. Not everything was done perfectly, according to these comrades that have never been in that position, nor do they provide alternative solutions, aside from incredibly vague platitudes. Another thing to...
It's not a platitude to understand that a functional government derives from the consent of the governed. You cannot force people into a system that they don't like. If a bunch of people are dissenting in opinions of how the government works, then it needs to be a discussion within society about why that is. If we want to change the systems in this country, wherever that might be, whether in the US or other places in the world, and say, hey, we no longer want this capitalist elite, this private interest monarchy to continue as it has for so many decades, then we need to explain to people and raise their class consciousness to understand how they're being exploited, and get everyone on the same page, and then elect politicians who are going to enact policies that are beneficial to the working class. That's an achievable goal that works for people because it derives its power from the consent of the governed. If you just force people into this, it's not going to work. Forcing people into any system, whether economic or political, ends badly. It really does. You gotta get people on the same page.
Understand is why there even exists such rampant anti-communism within the left, especially within academic spaces. Putting aside the fact that, due to the century-long taboo on positive Marxist coverage, many liberals have infiltrated the space. We need to also examine how controlled media of all kinds is under capitalist society. The New York Times, and other media organizations, pass articles, parsed through capitalist social hegemony, to be reviewed by the CIAs and NSAs prior to publishing, and similarly, academic publishing houses block anything with even a remotely positive spin on a socialist experiment as a whole. Operation Mockingbird never ended, and you'd be naive to believe it did. Peer reviewers will reject positive journal entries, and publishing houses will outright refuse to look at transcripts if they dare present any evidence without frequent inflammatory damnations of the Soviet Union, Stalin, and socialism in general, regardless of the relevance.
Okay, but it's always relevant, right? If I tell you, for instance, if I say, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but let's say it is, just for the sake of this. If I'm writing a paper and I'm talking about the efficiency of the industrial work of the USSR, and I say, oh, their industrial output was incredible, and I don't bring up the conditions that certain people had to work under, or the fact that you didn't necessarily... I can come up with a better example than this. Let's say I say something like, oh boy, dissent in the Soviet Union was really, really low political homogeneity was at an all-time high within the Soviet Union, and I don't bring up the fact that they were, like, using secret police to disappear people with differing opinions, then I've left out a huge chunk of the story. You cannot talk about the Soviet Union, at least post-Stalin and contemporary to Stalin, without talking about the incredibly overbearing interference of the state in businesses that should be private. And I don't literally mean businesses like people's business. I mean, like, you know, people's day-to-day lives, their opinions, how they feel about the government. You cannot dictate those things to people. You can't. That's a dictatorship, and it's wrong.
Highly niche works, like Tauger's famine research, or J.R. Getty's research on the Great Terror, cannot escape this. Many times, they have to reaffirm their anti-communist credentials in multi-page prefaces, as if to reassure the reader that they in fact hold no love for the Soviet Union and socialism, and almost apologize for the fact that the evidence points to a nuanced and not cartoonishly evil reality. Nothing is allowed to be published unless it's the most obscure, boring specialist work, and even then, it can only be published by explicitly left-wing publishers or specialist journals. In such an environment of unparalleled freedom, is it surprising that these left-wing anti-communists internalize the hegemony of the ruling class? This leads into the fact that this is more or less prevalent only in the West. I hear these arguments and condemnations almost exclusively from mostly Western, mostly white voices. This doesn't mean that in the Third World, Marxists are ignorant. No, far from it. Marx, Lenin, Mao, hell, even Bordiga is sold by street booksellers here in Iraq. If anything, those in the Third World, by their personal experience, understand the necessity of nuance and the reasons for what some may deem authoritarian. A meaningless phrase, mind you. In my own country of Iraq, a socialist revolution would do more than enough to offend the sensibilities of our misguided Western comrades. The things that need to be done would have to be done harshly, swiftly, and with the local shortages and issues taken into account. This would result in a socialism that, although imperfect, as humanity is itself, will result in a net positive for people's lives and their children's lives. This is more than enough for the
It makes me uncomfortable that he's using literal USSR propaganda footage to try and be like, see, the USSR wasn't so bad. Like, this is it's propaganda. They're not gonna make themselves look bad, are they?
Left-wing anti-communists to damn this hypothetical in its cradle. The question of racism cannot be ignored. If you've paid attention, you'd quickly notice how the condemnation of Third World black and brown experiments are almost immediate. Yet, when the lukewarm social democrat that supported the bombing of Yugoslavia runs on a platform of free healthcare, it's as if he's given them the world. Immediately, all his flaws and the consequences of his
shitting on Bernie Sanders
are excused away, placated, or outright ignored. When the Social Democrat wants to bring in very benign reform that can only with difficulty be put in place and very easily be stripped away, these comrades sing their praises. But mention Castro or Lenin or whoever else actually managed to establish an order that benefited not only their own nation's people, but countless millions worldwide, and you'll hear shouts of evil, dictator, mixed with smug dismissiveness.
Because they were dictators who killed a lot of people. Let's see. Stalin's death toll. 20 million? If it takes 20 million dead people to build your little utopia, maybe go back to the drawing board. Not great. Not a good look.
A frequent claim is that the evil communists wanted only power for themselves, that Lenin and Stalin, Mao, Castro, Ho Chi Minh, and all the others were simply power-hungry brutes that wanted nothing than to hold the population under their thumb. How one gains power by fighting for the rights of the powerless is never explained. Lenin was the son of a petty noble. Stalin had a promising career ahead of him after graduating from a seminary. Mao was the son of a wealthy farmer and was to inherit his father's vast tracts of land to make a very comfortable life for himself. Castro, too, was the son of a wealthy landowner, and he too was to inherit his father's lucrative sugar plantations. Yet, the first thing he did was nationalize his own family's farm before any other. The first things all of them did was repudiate that which gave them all that privilege in the first place.
Okay, but that's if you're becoming like a dictator of a country, nationalizing your family's farm is a token act at best, because you've just become the one end-all be-all leader of the nation. You've become the most powerful person in the country. Why the fuck would you care about your farm?
In order to fight for the unheard majority. How you can condemn figures that opted to fight brutal and difficult lives for the unlikely possibility of socialism happening within their own lifetimes as evil is beyond me. This is no great man theory. I am but trying to absolve these individuals, as history has already absolved them.
No, you can't absolve them of the things that they've done. I'm even willing to say that there were things within the USSR or whatever that functioned, but the fact is, they functioned off the fact that tons of people were hurt and murdered and lived in fear of the secret fucking police. That shit's not okay. That's not a functional society. That's not how you get people to get on board with socialism. That's not how you get people to a place where they want to advocate for their rights as workers. This is how you get people to go, oh, fucking crazy communist over here, trying to simp for Joseph Stalin. It's ridiculous. If you care about a political worldview, then you should be able to see flaws not only within it, but flaws in the ways that it has been implemented elsewhere.
If our misguided comrades cannot see through the mist of capitalist hegemony is a matter of education and nuance, nothing else. Remember, they condemn a name, a Lenin or a Castro, but in reality, in their misguidance, they are condemning the millions that supported those movements as well. I repeat this as I always do. If leftists in the West achieved 1/10 what former socialist experiments had, they would elate themselves to the stars. This is not to say...
What are you talking about? Look, again, I'm not about capitalism. I think it's shitty, and I think it takes advantage of the product of people's work and passes up to people at the top like a big pyramid scheme. I get that. However, incredible things have also been achieved under U.S. dominance, and again, I can criticize that too. The U.S. has done terrible fucking things. The U.S. had fucking Jim Crow and segregation until 1969. It was a nation built on slavery and the destruction of the cultures of the original people who lived here. It's a place where people can fall into poverty and starve. It's a place where, like, yada yada yada, whatever. But, like, amazing technology has also come out of the U.S., right? This is how a reasonable person looks at different things. I can look at the Soviet Union and say, yeah, they were socialist, whatever, they were communist, however, they did awful things and killed ridiculous amounts of people. And you can also look at capitalism and say, I disagree with the people who are hurt under capitalism as well. However, that doesn't make everything that has come out of capitalism bad, right? Like, the internet is a thing. It's changed the world. And it was built out of, again, American military dominance. It was built out of a military program and then put into the stream of commerce, and it did become a thing. I'm a fan of market forces. Like, I'm a market socialist, so I'm gonna have a little bit of a boner for that kind of thing, but I don't know. Just going to bat for Stalin seems so weird of all things. You can advocate for leftist positions without being this weird tanky that tries to ignore every horrible thing the Soviet Union did.
You cannot criticize those experiments. Far from it. They should be criticized. But there's a time, place, and format this criticism must take place in, and that criticism must be based in evidence and good faith. It must be grounded in nuance and an understanding of the circumstances. This is...
And you, who are literally using USSR propaganda footage throughout this entire video, are a bastion of good faith argumentation.
This is the criticism honest Marxists take part in, unlike the eternal traitors of our movement, such as Orwell, who attacked the Soviet Union at the height of its war against the fascist menace. Yes, the darling of the CIA. The same Orwell that reported Marxists, gays, and black agitators to Britain's secret police. If you hold Orwell in any positive regard, you need to reassess your political inclinations. This leads me to another point. Due to the unending onslaught against the
Shamrock
memory
Star,
of
thanks for the
socialism,
100 bits.
those that defend examples of former socialist experiments look like blind admirers of those systems. I understand. But that's only because they have been forced to be on the defensive their entire existence, practically. Marxist-Leninists are not blind lovers of those socialist experiments, as left-wing anti-communists are blind detractors. If you doubt this, join a Marxist-Leninist space and ask for criticism. I can assure you, you'll get more than you bargained for. The most scathing criticism of Marxist-Leninist experiments come from MLs themselves. If you continue to doubt this, then stay tuned, as the next video I upload will roughly outline the faults and mistakes of 20th century socialism as I see them. Nonetheless, defending our heritage, while understanding its flaws and learning its lessons, is infinitely better than being a spineless coward that crumbles against the most superficial pressure, and as a result denounces the experiments in their totality only because Red Scare CIA propaganda told them to. This entire topic, and so much more, is dealt with in Michael Parenti's excellent work, Black Shirts and Reds. I cannot recommend this book enough.
Oh boy. Seems like an interesting guy. We'll definitely cover more of his videos in the future. I'll have to check out more of it. I'm curious what his criticisms. Former socialism's faults? We'll check that out sometime. I'm curious what he's gonna say. I'm wondering if, like, hey, secret police. Gulags. I'm wondering if that's gonna be on the list. Dictatorships, you know. All the fun stuff. Arcanist Amber Blackwell says, Marxist-Leninists are not comrades. I really can't really support the idea that the ignorant proletariat needs some kind of vanguard to lead it to independence. Again, I'm a socialist, but vanguardism isn't the way to go. I agree. If we want to change the systems of government and the economic systems of the country in which we live, then what we should do is advocate for the policies that we want. We should try and educate people if we feel that people don't understand the role that they serve within society, and if they don't agree with us, they don't agree with us. We live in a democracy, and that's a wonderful concept. That's a liberal concept, the idea that people can come together and form a government based on their consent. And you cannot say, I'm better than the plebs, I'm going to institute a governmental policy that they, you know, it's not going to end well. Don't do that. If we want to change the systems of government and economics within this country, then you need to do so via democracy by convincing people that your positions are the correct ones. Forcing people into it is only going to lead to bad things. It leads to a dysfunctional state. You cannot have a functional state that functions in a way that leads to prosperity for the people who work within it, with them not being on board with the system they're being forced to be in. Doesn't work.
This is staged by Antifa. Then put up your own stuff. This is my freedom of speech. This is my freedom of speech. This is my freedom of speech. No. This was staged by Antifa and George Soros. You don't need to.
Okay, so this Karen's mad about some Black Lives Matter protests. Grow up.
Violence. Oh my God! You don't need violence. You are being violent. Get this out. Riots are damaging the world. Get this violence out of here. Get this violence out of here.
Apparently peaceful protest is violence now. Good job, Karen.
You are doing it. You are brainwashed. This was staged by George Soros. Stop!
Interesting to say that someone else is brainwashed while in the same sentence regurgitating anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about George Soros. Genius. This lady legit makes me mad. This is ridiculous.
Doesn't matter. People are dying because of riots right now. People are dying. Help! Staged. Do not do this. Staged.
You're gonna tell me my kids can't come in here because they're kids?
Wait, Mom.
Wait a minute. Shh. You're gonna tell me my kids can't come in here because they're children?
Yeah. Don't put your kids at risk and take them into stores and shit.
Ma'am, I'm sorry.
And because of their age. Is that correct?
Ma'am, I'm just doing my job.
You're doing your job and it's also illegal.
It's not illegal.
Did you know that? Private property or not, I pay taxes.
Okay, your taxes don't go to the store, and they certainly don't go to pay the private security of the store. Your taxes have nothing to do with this, lady.
And the law is the law, regardless. You cannot discriminate somebody based on their age.
They can tell people you can't have kids in there. You absolutely can, especially during a public health crisis.
I think I know what to do, Mom. I think
go ahead.
I think I should just go to my papa's or my nana's and
just wait a minute.
Wow, the kid's coming up with actual real-world solutions and being reasonable and working within the rules, instead of being a fucking Karen and acting like the rules don't apply to you. Poor kids. I hope those kids turn out better than their mom.
Wait, no, I want somebody can come here. I want this on video. I want this on video. That's fine. You can go ahead and call security because I'm not even doing anything wrong. I'm just asking simple questions. And then you're going to try to tell somebody that has a medical condition.
Oh no, it's in Michigan too. Fuck. These people are the worst.
That they have to wear a face mask too. I love it. Which is also discrimination. Thank you.
Baidai Kaiju says the mom might be a narcissist if the kids are already bargaining at that age, yeah. I feel you on that one.
Hello. Hi. How come I'm being told, sir, that I cannot enter your store with my children?
We're not letting anybody under 16 inside the store. We're not doing recording in here either.
Yes, I am. I'm allowed to record on my phone. You're gonna...
On private property, I don't think that's the case. On private property, you don't necessarily have the right to record.
Tell me that my children, because of the fact that they're not 16, can't come into your store.
Correct.
That's illegal and discrimination.
No, it's not. It's not illegal.
It's not.
Yes, it is. That is age discrimination.
It's Menards, too. Lady, what do you need at Menards? Menards sucks. Don't go to Menards. They mistreat their workers. They get sued all the time. Don't go to Menards.
Reserve the right to refuse service to anybody, and we're just not letting anybody under 16 in.
You do not have the right to reserve service to anybody in the United States of America. I am going to leave, but I'm asking you simple questions.
Okay.
Because this is a free country as well.
Yeah,
and my
this
children
is
have...
property.
Yes, it is private property, but at the same time, you are a public... store thing.
No, they're a private store. God, I hate these people who don't understand the distinction between public and private. Public is like the government. The city hall is public. Your local library, assuming it's a public library, is public. Any store you go to is private. Just because you're allowed to enter it most of the time doesn't make it public. It's still a private store. You can just come in and do commerce as a consumer, but they can tell you to leave for almost any reason.
And you still have to follow laws of the land. How are you going to discriminate somebody?
You're going to have to go.
How are you? I am.
Oh, gonna have to kick you out of the Menards.
I'm gonna leave, sir, but I want to know how you have the right to discriminate my children.
It's not a discrimination.
It is too, because you're telling them no. Because what about everybody else's safety, though, too? So
They're
because
not
of the
children.
fact that
They're
my
over
children
the age
are
of 16.
Because children are 16 still.
Okay.
18 is an adult.
Over the age of 16
so it is.
what
So it
we
is.
are doing.
It is.
Okay.
I can't wait to put
Have
this
a
on
good day.
Facebook and show my lawyer.
Please, show it to your lawyer and have them charge you for an hour of work for them just to tell you you have no case.
Dude!
People with more fucking money than sense, I'm telling you.
Get the away from me. I'm gonna call the police on you.
Call him!
Yeah, Menards does sell food, but it's,
You'll get arrested. Call him. Call him. I didn't touch you. I didn't touch you. Do it. Do it. Karen. You almost hit me and flicked a cigarette at me.
So what? Because you yelled at me.
That's mature. Karen, why don't you get in the car and go safely home without hitting anybody else?
In the chat, I'm putting my YouTube channel, by the way. Check it out if you haven't. Go ahead and subscribe or, you know, bookmark it, whatever.
No, you did that.
Yeah, you hit me. I got witnesses. You hit me.
Oh, relax, bro. I'm telling you right now, bro. Relax. Just relax, bro. I just get fired.
I feel like I have a pimple or an ingrown hair right here. Ah.
Give me the food, bro. Give me the food. Go, leave.
No, I didn't get my coffee!
Where's your phone?
We can make you your coffee, that's what I'm saying.
Leave now. Leave.
What's your name? Tell me your name. What is his name?
Cheyenne, get the
What's his name? What is his name? Because he is getting reported. What's your name? You're a piece of shit.
I mean, that was your food, I think, so...
Cheyenne!
You piece of shit.
They threw a drink!
Well, she better have enough balls and enough proof.
She got caught shoplifting.
I own businesses in Ontario.
Did she just say, I own a business in Ontario, okay? Does that mean you're incapable of putting things in your pockets that you haven't paid for?
You phone the police, lady. Good. Really? I'm a nurse. I'm 18. I own a business. Yeah.
I own a business and she's a nurse, okay? First of all, if she's a nurse, shouldn't you know you shouldn't be out shopping for fucking shoes when there's a global pandemic on? And secondly, neither of those things disqualifies you from being able to steal things.
I was gonna go look at some shoes. I'll just wait.
You bet it's an MLM. Oh, you're so right. I guarantee her business is like a multi-level marketing scheme. Don't fuck with ladies at the TJ Maxx.
I'm really upset over this. No, you've been calling up the lawyer's been calling. Okay, yeah. But I need to know why this thing. No, you phone the police, lady, and you tell me why. Yeah. You phone the police. I will. Good. Yeah. Bring it on. So if you're not she's not telling me. I know. Your welfare. That's my daughter. And you don't even know me. We're going to other stores. You know what? I want to know her. I want to know all the information. Yep. The lawyer's going to be. I will. Yep. But it's not going to get you anywhere today. Terrible. You're making a terrible mistake. I need your manager. I need all her information. It'll be up to her to provide for you. I'll have to call my supervisor and see if I'm very falsely accused. You guys are in a whole lot of trouble. I know. Like I've been doing this for a few years now. Lady, she's never been in London. What the heck are you? You made a very bad, serious offense. And I hope you've got great insurance on this. You don't know who I am. You don't even know me. No, I want the police because the police are going to know my record because we know the police. My clients are the police department. Are you nuts? Did you employ her?
I was attacking you. I was attacking you.
Children, it's my neighborhood. I'm going to do what I want.
Because it is my neighborhood. I got the right to sit here. This is my neighborhood. I got the right to sit here. That's where you went wrong at by approaching me because you thought this wasn't my neighborhood.
I'm so fucking sick of racist Karens getting triggered that people of color exist. Fuck off and leave people alone.
That's where you went wrong at. That's where you went wrong at.
Trespassing what?
We ain't trespassing nothing.
Trespassing what?
Why are you trespassing?
Trespassing what?
Why are you trespassing?
Trespassing what?
On a place where you don't belong to be.
Hey, get off the whip. Hey, I could buy any car here I want to buy. What is you talking about?
Hey, I'm trying to leave.
What is you talking about?
Hey, I'm trying to
once you get on somewhere.
So,
hey.
Ain't nobody giving you no problems. We trying to leave. We trying to leave.
Hey, y'all get y'all homie, bro. Get y'all homie, bro.
Hey, we trying to leave.
Get y'all homie, bro. This is white people, bro. I be want to see, dog. Move. Move. Hey. Hey, just get out. Get in the car, bro. Move. Ain't nobody gonna touch you. Move. Bro, is this our homie?
Don't touch me.
Bro, move around.
Don't touch me.
Move around.
Don't touch me.
We ain't gonna touch you. We know you gonna press charges. You trespassing too. You own this motherfucker.
They're clearly trying to leave, so why the fuck are you saying they're trespassing? It looks like they're at a Mercedes dealership. They were looking at cars, and she's like mad about it. Is she mad that a couple of black guys can afford a Mercedes? Like, okay, fuck off with your racist bullshit. It's ridiculous.
Yeah?
You own it?
Maybe I can do.
You don't with them dirty ass feet.
Maybe
you don't. Them dirty ass feet, you don't. Get on somewhere, bro.
No.
Hey, just back the car up. Just back the car and pull out, bro.
No. Where? Hey! Yeah, maybe I do.
Just back this mother. You know her? Move her around, bro.
Get over here!
Thank you. Move her out, bro. Go. Go.
They're trying to block her. Why you getting in the way of the car, stupid?
Bro.
Why are you trying to run me? I'm walking.
Is this your wife?
I'm walking.
Is this your wife? Thank you.
You're stupid.
Touch me. Touch me. Touch me.
Am I gonna touch you?
No. I promise you.
I'll look you when I see that.
It ain't what you want.
Touch his bitch.
You and your husband with me. Touch me.
Exactly.
Touch me.
Exactly
Touch
what
me.
you said.
Touch me.
You exactly said it.
Touch me.
You just said it.
Touch me.
You just said it.
Bro, get your wife, Brody.
You just said it. You just said it.
Get your wife, Brody.
The husband or boyfriend looks like this is not the first time he's had to deal with this shit.
You just said it.
Yeah, I will. I will f you up. And your husband. You better get her. You better get her.
There's supposed to be 6 feet of distance, and I asked you nicely to kind of move aside.
You're taking the whole aisle.
No.
You're taking the
but
whole
you should
aisle.
have respected my space.
I don't need to respect you.
Are you a Karen? Have you heard of Karen?
You're a Karen.
You're a Karen.
You're a Karen.
Oh my God, you're such a Karen.
Jesus Christ. Alright, we've been on for 3 hours and 48 minutes. I think I'm going to call it a night. So thanks everyone. Again, check the chat for my YouTube channel. I put all the full streams and the, not just the full streams, but I also put the clips. So if you just want to watch certain clips, I'm going to raid over to the Surfs TV. Have a good night, everyone.
Oh man, this is like a hot iron to the dick. Like right here. This is like putting your balls in a waffle iron.
Enjoy the stream.
And now they're in
Chat is valid. Have a good night, everyone.
This is, alright? My horny has no bounds. Nice try. Nice try. Alright? This has made my lady cock and happy. Good. Good. That's what I'm trying to do, alright? I'm trying to make everyone's lady cock